Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, I was started a little late here getting everything set up for this live stream. My name is Miss Penny. I run the chemistry channel. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on TikTok. And you can find Spiritual Roots Hoodoo Community on Instagram. Welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone who is attending this live stream, especially if you're new in our community. If you are new in our community, then when you first get in there, there's a welcome page. And in that welcome page are hyperlinks to where you need to get started. It's a whole syllabus and itinerary of where you need to start. Open up those books and click on those links and start opening up those books and start reading. The more you stay focused on educating yourself, the better things are going to be for you. Not guessing, not following people on videos, no, learning for yourself. Hello, how you doing, Lavita? I hope everything is going well with you, beloved. The more you can stay focused on yourself, focus on educating yourself, the better your practice is going to be. Okay, this is a relationship, a personal relationship with yourself and with your most elevated ancestors. You're not going to get it by searching and listening to other people. You're going to get it by reading, educating yourself, and seeing what resonates with your spirit. Everybody ancestral practice is not exactly the same. For example, we have a practitioner in there, and she said that her ancestors was leading her to put salt on her altar. She don't know why. She just kept doing it. And some ancestors don't like salt. So everybody ancestral preferences is not going to be exactly the same. But one thing we have in common, we are communicating with our most elevated ancestors. They are present in our life. There is no way around it. Please do not try to, fast pace this or skip things. You're you're not messing with anyone but yourself. That's all that's going to happen there. You're just cheating yourself. That's all that's happening there. So take your time, keep it simple. It is not a rush. The more you slow down and focus on you, the better results you're going to have. I know what you're saying out here in the physical realm. They make you think the faster you go, the faster you're going to get there. No, not with this. This is totally opposite. This is totally opposite because you have to again heal your nervous system as well. A lot of healing needs to go on. There's a lot of blocks. You're in survival mode. You're just getting acquainted with this information. And there's a lot of resting and self-care that goes on at the beginning of this. This is why we have the spiritual baths. That's why that's in there. You start to really understand this when once you start applying this to your life and develop a relationship with your ancestors. And we're gonna cover healthy, elevated ancestors today. You cannot get this wrong. I think the most we people that look like me, we complicate that. And ancestor veneration is the most simplest relationship and practice. It is so simple. It's really simple. It's really simple. People spend so much time wondering about it that you don't engage in it so you can see it work for yourself. And in Hoodoo, we call on the most healthiest, elevated ancestors. There are two books in our community that I'm going to be covering a little bit today uh, during this discussion. And it is Ancestors Path. You have the book, it's right there. Click on the links in there in the community. And Ancestral Medicine. This is maybe the fifth time I'm going through this book. But there's plenty of lectures on ancestor veneration, so you will not get it wrong because I know that's the core to practice. That's where the wisdom and the magic and all that is coming from. So we covered that thoroughly to get your table ready to communicate with your ancestors and to keep you consistent with that so you can see results. So that is the most basic thing. You have so much information on ancestor veneration over there. Badass Ancestors, the Book of Ancestors, Ancestral Medicine, Ancestors Path, Grasping the Roots. I could just go on and on. Communing with spirits, spiritual communication. I go on and on and on where we cover ancestor veneration and interacting with spirits. So if you're reading the materials and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to see results. The only way you don't see results with ancestor veneration if you don't follow any of that and you are, I don't know what you're doing. Forget what you're seeing. I have to keep saying this because people are so mesmerized by fluff. Oh my God. They think they watch 2 or 3 videos and they can go out here and make baths, don't know why you're doing it, don't know how long you should be doing it. You don't even know if your ancestors want you to do it. You're just out here doing stuff. There is order to this. This is a science to this. Okay? And it's only going to work when you participate, when you do the work. No one needs to be on your ancestors' altar but your ancestors. There should not be any sort of magic or anything like that going on. That is a house for your ancestors for communication only. If you have a personal altar where you do work at, then fine. You can call them into that. But even before you go do that, you're going to ask them, should you even be doing it? We don't do anything, no magic, picking up stuff because we don't know. I'm gonna let you know right now. You don't know nothing, even though you're gonna know the what herbs do what and all that. When it comes to approaching that work, we go to our ancestors first and we ask them how do they want us to put it together. We don't assume that we know because no, you don't know. I don't care how smart you think you is. You nobody has more wisdom than the ancestors, and it's just that simple. Yes, you need an altar at some point if you're gonna be doing hoodoo. It makes no sense to be doing magic and not have a ancestor altar up there. This is some of the hang up. Why would you be doing hoodoo without an ancestor altar? Oh my God. Why? Why? And you don't think you're messing with spirits. And what are you conjuring then? If the ancestors, you don't have no ancestor altar, no relationship, what spirit are you conjuring with? You need to know. This how people get themselves crossed up and get in a mix of something, and they didn't know what they was conjuring up. You gonna conjure up something, okay? If you ain't trying to get yourself together, especially with these elevated ancestors, they don't like raggedy stuff. That's why people go out, they go renegade and start doing all these crazy spells and working with these other kind of spirits. Because if you get over here with these elevated ancestors, you're just not gonna be able to be raggedy like that. They want you to be healing some of that trauma out. That's the price. Healing. The price is healing. Nothing needs to be on the ancestor altar. If they lead you to put Jesus up there, fine. If they lead you to put an angel up there, fine. But other than that, it doesn't need to be uh don't be putting other stuff up there. That's the ancestor's house. That's the ancestor, the altar is their house. That is your meeting place for them. Now if they move you to put some type of deity on there, such as Jesus or angel, that's understandable. But when we start going into Oshun and all that stuff, please don't put that stuff on the altar because they haven't told you to put that up there. You're gonna mess yourself up like that. Okay, I hope we're absolutely clear. I see these mistakes going on and on and on with people, and most of the people, they be so confused and wrapped up in this stuff the wrong way. It's hard to correct it because they are hell bent on doing it that way, and they see they not getting results. So they didn't cross themselves up. They got to start all over again. That's why I say slow down and do it the right way. Because if you don't slow down, you're going to find yourself going back to the beginning, going back every time trying to fix something. because you done jumped into spell work and didn't understand the practice. And the ancestors are front and center in all of our practice. I don't care about what they're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. If you go through to an authentic ritual, you're going to see them ancestors are called first before anything. Okay? How do we know what they want us to place on the altar? Ask. What do you feel? What comes up? But I would recommend that you look up ancestor veneration. Have you been doing any study on that? Have you been reading on that? I'm not going to give you any answers in here because there's no reason why you should be asking these questions, because ancestor veneration can easily be looked up and there's so many resources out there on it. There's no reason for you to be confused. If you're confused, that's because you choose to be and you don't choose to look it up. You don't choose to read. This is a sort of siphoning as well. Some of us have parasitic behavior and we want people to tell us this is not church. This is a spiritual lifestyle. You are responsible for educating yourself. This is, no one can ever take this work from you because this is the true soul work. And if I promise you, if you are sincere, honest, and consistent, you're going to get results with this. That I assure you, the ancestors going to show up. I assure you of that. If you're doing everything you're supposed to do and you're being consistent, oh, your life going to start being fixed. And that hoodoo going to fall right into place after you establish this relationship, because you really don't know nothing. And these spirits going to teach you. It ain't going to be these people. I keep telling you that. I don't even want you following me. This is why I come here and I emphasize ancestor veneration. This is why I'm so passionate about it, because I know this is where the sauce is. This is where your practice is going to take off at, through the healing and working with your most elevated ancestors. I know this. I can stand on this. I live this. So I can come here and attest to this. I can come here and testify to what's going, how to work with them and how the ancestors will fix your life. I'm living proof of that. So I know if you do this, you're going to get results. But if you're shucking and jiving, I'm telling you now, you're pretty shucking and jiving. You think this is some type of play pretty. You think this is church. You're not going to get far with this, because you can't trick a spirit. I'm saying this for the people in the back who think they smart, who think they can do tricks, think they can do shortcuts. I'm saying this for the people in the back. Did you hear me? Okay. You need to understand that, because I see a lot of people that's trying to go past it. Okay. And that's being promoted, that's being popularized. I don't know why they're doing it. I wish I had an explanation to why they were doing it. I just don't. Rather than they just want you confused and make a fool out of you. I don't know, because all the resources that we have says ancestors, ancestors, even by black authors, ancestors, ancestors, it's the first thing. The Orisha were ancestors, ancestors. The Loa were ancestors. And you seeing this over and over again, so why would you want to skip it? Why would you want to do anything without their assistance? No, you don't know nothing. And believe me, when you start working with these ancestors, you're gonna feel like a child up under them, because there's certain things they're not gonna let you do. You're gonna be throwing little tantrums and they don't care. They want the best for you. They want you to get over there and heal. They're not gonna be letting you throw hexes and all that stuff at people. They're gonna be telling you to get over there and look at yourself and work on your character. That's what they're gonna be telling you. Go look it up, A1C girl. Go look it up. That's free information. Go Google it. Go look it up. The ancestor, and I have plenty of videos here, book recommendations. Go book Ancestors Path and Ancestral Medicine. Start there. Those are some good books. It's better if you educate yourself, so you won't be keep getting manipulated and bamboozled and misinformed and crossing yourself up. And ancestor veneration is the same in each culture. We all share a common thread. Black people is the only one that messed this up. I mean, just mess it up. I don't know no culture mess this up more than black people. And I don't even like saying that, but that's the truth. You complicate this so much that I don't understand it. And it's really simple. It is so simple. If you stay consistent with that, dedicating yourself, spending time with your ancestors, telling them your business, opening your mouth to them, asking them questions, ask them. Get your divination together, sit down and be quiet, you're going to get some answers. I promise you that. I assure you of that. You're going to start seeing a lot of synchronicities and you're going to start seeing them fix your life in a way that you could never imagine. Okay? So let's jump into elevated ancestors. Who are healthy ancestors and why do I emphasize this? Ancestors and guardian spirits from higher realms, heavens, and beyond only work within the divine order of divine agenda. These are the most elevated ancestors. And the best way I can put it with a lot of you, because there's so many ancestors that fall um, up under that umbrella. So there's different hierarchies of ancestors up under the elevated ancestors. Some of them are saints. Some of these ancestors are more like angelic beings. And then some go beyond that's never been born before. Some of the strongest ones that I've seen that I've worked with the ancestors of the land. Those are the most powerful ones when it comes to your work uh, and kind of moving things in this realm. You want to be connecting with that land absolutely where you're standing at. That is the most important thing you can do is go out to those historical indigenous sites and start pouring libations and honoring those ancestors on the land. That's why we're going into nature. Okay, you're going to see this being repeated in a lot of these books. What I'm saying here, the higher the frequency, the more powerful and intelligent they are. That's why we're raising our consciousness. That's why we're doing the shadow work, because we want to come in contact with the most highest, healthiest ancestors. We're vibrating, we're going on a higher frequency. Like I said, a lot of them are saint and angelic light, and some even beyond never been born before. Yeah, that's why it got to be some Levita. I ain't never seen any body complicate ancestor veneration as many as our community complicate that so bad. And I don't see how you understand it because you've been looking at a Bible full of dead people, full of dead people. Everybody in that Bible dead, even if Jesus dead. So why is this so complicated? Then you actually got somebody being, unalive from a tree, actually being nailed up and being done like this Jesus, and you think that they don't have, you think that they're evil, and they actually lived the life. They were crucified and everything, just like this Jesus in the Bible. Ancestors, please help me. I am trying so hard. Ancestors, please help me. These people that laid down their life for you, people that were unalive for you to be here. And you gonna call them evil and demons and stuff like that. And these folks that gave you something, then gonna make him a pale face after in the Bible it said that the Jesus was a black man. Come on now, you letting people play with you. They not already gave you the sauce that it's got to be linked to ancestors because everybody in that Bible is dead and they talking about a dead man. So they telling you without telling you, you need to be honoring your ancestors, but you never pick up what they put down. You never elevate beyond the religion and take another perspective and a look on it. Okay. Sometimes these heavenly bodies do not visit their lower realms unless necessary. To carry out an assignment, they will contract an inferior spirit. Take a place of employment, for example. You are rarely to see the president of the company making copies unless there is no choice. Instead, a clerk carries out the task. And when necessary, spirits will also band together as a team to carry out the particular assignment that requires additional energies of skillfulness. This is where ancestors will guide you to certain roots and herbs. Okay, so that's why they guide you in the work. They know the language of plant spirits. They have a relationship with these spirits. They the ones show you how to work with these plant spirits. After all, they're the ones who were growing a lot of this stuff. They were growing the herbs, the roots, and all that. And so when we start doing this work, they know how to work with these elemental forces and spirits, the spirits within the roots, plants, and herbs. And they guide you on the work. That's why you need to be going to them, asking them before you start doing stuff. Does this make sense? I'm gonna break it all the way down for you. And you have these books. If you're in our community, you should have this together. If you're brand new, there is no reason why you should be getting this confused. Because as soon as you get in our community, it is going to be in a pinned post, and there are going to be hyperlinks where you can open up these books that is going to say exactly, almost exactly what I'm saying. Have I lost anyone here? Did this make sense to you? That's why we're going to our ancestors before we do any work. The questions that you ask me, should I do a such and such a spell? I don't know. Did you ask your ancestors? That's where that's going to go with me. What kind of bath should I take? I don't know. You should ask your ancestors. I can tell you to take a cleansing bath. You need to do a blockbuster bath or whatever. But then I'm going to say, ask your ancestors how you should put that together for you. What type of herbs, what type of things that uh, you should be using. I can tell you what day to take it on, but they might probably wanted you to do the bath during a full moon, a waning moon. You're going to have to go ask them and sit with that and put that work together. You're going to think here. Because that's where you're gonna be communicating with spirit at. It ain't gonna be checking out trying to look for answers outside of you. It's gonna be checking in, sitting down with your ancestors, looking on the answers on the inside you. You are your ancestors. You carry their DNA. We have to learn to trust our intuition and sit with ourselves. The ancestors, and I already told you, we put the answer in you. What are you talking about? No, you don't want to hear that because people told you look outside yourself for God. Look outside yourself for answers. Don't trust your intuition. Well, you're going to be doing totally the opposite here. That is why we have to heal our nervous system. That's why we got to get out of survival mode. That's why we got to dispel all those negative voices and stuff so we can be able to hear clearly and hear our most highest being and our ancestors. Does this make sense? This is why you need to slow down. This is why you need to read. Reading is going to slow your mind down and help you comprehend and dispel all the misconceptions. Forget looking at other people's videos, even what I'm saying. That is why I take you directly to a book because I don't need you to get it twisted. I don't need you looking at me. I need you trusting yourself and trusting your ancestors. You're going to hear me say this over and over again. How many practitioners, if a practitioner's not telling you this, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. If a practitioner's not telling you this, that is a red flag. I need you trusting yourself. I need you trusting your ancestors. Your ancestors need that from you. That's the only way the trust is going to build in the relationship. That's the only way to strengthen your faith and trust your walk in your journey. This is a path only you can take, and no one can take it with you. Your family members and all of that, they might not ascend with you. So don't think just because you start ascending that family members are going to go with you. Some of them are our ops. That's where we need to be ascending from, is the people that's carrying the trauma that don't want to get rid of it. Somebody got to make it out alive, and it just might be you. Okay, have I lost anyone here? Okay. No matter the level of hierarchy, spirits have many different skills, specialties, and accomplishments. But many individuals have a misconception that spirits can do anything and everything for us, and they cannot. They cannot with your willing participation. If you don't know where you're going with your ancestors, if you want to see better results in your ancestor veneration, then you need to have a plan and a vision. They can't help you if you don't have a plan or a vision. You don't know where you want to be the next 2 years, the next 5 years, the next 6 years. The spirit cannot work with nothing empty. You want to get out of this survival mode. I hope. I just hope it get better one day. Well, how does that better look to you? How does freedom look to you? What would make you happy? Those are the things we need to really be sitting with. And some of us, we don't know the answer to those questions. We're still in survival mode. That's why when I tell people, I'm getting more clear about readings, because most time when people come to me for readings, they don't know what they want to do with their life, but they want their ancestors in their life, but they don't know where in their life they need help, or they don't have any goals. They just don't know. That's why when I tell people now, I've sent out, hey, I need you to think about your questions. Think about what you want to take away from this reading. Think about your goals you have for yourself in your life. These are important things that ancestors would love to assist you with. But if you're not telling them what you need and where you're going and your vision, then how are they supposed to help you? You have to know where you're going. Spirit cannot work with nothing. There has to be some goals, some visions. Is it art? Is it music? Are you opening up a new business? Are you trying to get a new house? Are you trying to increase abundance? Are you trying to manage your money better? Again, they can assist with all that, but you have to tell them, what does that look like for you? If you don't know where you're going, and there's little that spirit can do because you don't know. You're confused. We have to slow all that down and come home to ourselves and find out, hey, what makes me happy? How do I want my life to look? These are important questions to ask yourself in order to get the results you want with the relationship with your ancestors and many of these other spirits. And some of us have not sat down with that. That's why healing is necessary. Have I lost anyone? Okay. Lost anyone. The two books were supposed to be started with ancestral medicine rituals and ancestor path and the ancestors. Yes, yes, and it's yes, ma'am. Be the sage. Yep. Okay. And if you're in our community, you when you get in our community, as soon as you get in there, you click on the links. Those books are going to open up. That's where I want you to start. Get your cleansing started. Get your healing started. Because you're gonna be cleansing, doing a lot of cleansing on the inside and the outside. That's when you start seeing shifts and changes, not by doing no outside spells. The alchemy and the change starts with you. People talk about alchemy. Well, you really doing it because you're supposed to be cleaning out raggedy stuff on the inside of you, okay, and seeing these changes on the outside of you, okay. So have that stuff in line, know where you want to go, and start talking to your ancestors about your aspirations, your inspiration, your dreams, your desires. Tell them that, okay? And again, I have to go back to my community. If you're in our community, I promise there's so many lectures, resources on ancestor veneration. You are not gonna get this wrong. The only way you get this wrong is you don't do it. You want to know anything about astrology? I've covered that. There is no stone unturned in our community in the things that we discuss. And if there's something over there that you want me to cover, I absolutely will cover it because I love what I do. But what I'm seeing the most is people getting hung up on ancestor veneration. They ain't got no altar. They don't got nothing going on, and then they want to honor the ancestors in the most weirdest ways. That's not. I'm just like, what made you come up with that? You be like, that don't even make sense. Why would you do that like that? So it's the weirdest ways, and many people have not studied this on their own, and it's not complicated. After you get to reading these books, you're gonna be like, okay, this is an ongoing theory. This is what I do. You're gonna know what you need to do. You're gonna know what your ancestors like and dislike. You're gonna know. Okay? If you read the material, you sit down somewhere, be quiet, read the material, you going to know. Yes, I'm on Patreon. The link is in our bio on YouTube, and it's in our bio on TikTok. Okay? You're going to know what to do. I promise you, you're not going to be confused. The only way you get this messed up, and I'm going to say it again, and this is where it's hard for people because they want to scroll on their phones, they want to be entertained by social media. You're in survival mode. Something got to be happening all the time. The only way you don't get this is you don't do it. Because I know don't nothing work if you ain't got this together. And if a practitioner is not explaining this to you, that is a red flag. Ain't nothing jumping, ain't no work jumping without no spirit. It ain't a person over here. They let you know that over and over again in that Bible. Okay? They working with a spirit. Is you gonna be working with a spirit. So if you are scared of spirits and you want something superficial and fake and fluffy, don't come over here. Okay? It ain't gonna look like in Hollywood where you see ghosts and everything flying everywhere. It ain't gonna look like that. So if you're looking for that, that's not gonna happen. Okay? If you read your material, you'll know how this communication looks, and you'll know how these synchronicities look when you experience them. But it ain't gonna happen if you don't get nowhere. Sit down, be quiet, and educate yourself and start expanding your mind. Because a lot of this communication that's going to be going on between you, your ancestors, your elevated ancestors, and a lot of these angels are going to be going on through your thinking. And if your mind is all raggedy and all that stuff, you're going to be missing stuff. You're going to probably be messing your stuff up. It ain't going to jump in your head. It ain't going to happen. Even here, I try to educate you as much as I can here, but I know uh, the most information you're gonna get after reading books. Bobby Hemmett to let you know that. You got all these people that come here to read all these books that a lot of us binge on their videos, but we still lack the study and educating for ourselves. We're still depending on someone else to tell us. So we miss a lot of information and can be easily misinformed because we don't like to educate ourselves. Got to get you, even me. I don't want you following me. Don't do it. You only go, that they don't turn out good. Okay. Believe it or not, spirits do have limitations, for they only help us with the things that which we cannot help ourselves. Their limitation can occur for a number of unknown reasons, but I tend to think that timing, their frequency level, their skillfulness in handling the issue at hand, and the universal natural laws are amongst many reasons for the limitations. This is why we start doing the shadow work so we can start getting it in cosmic alignment, making, because we're getting a natural flow of energy. Once we get ourselves nervous system together, learn how to rest, learn how to be still, and get in alignment with things, then when we start picking up things will naturally flow. But if you're blocked and you got low self-confidence and you got wounds and stuff on you, then it's not going to flow. It's not going to flow the way you want to. Depending on our deeds, our persistence, they will go beyond the limits to overcome hurdles for us. In order to do so, they may seek assistance from higher beings, with others as teams, or work harder longer until the goal is accomplished. This is where your grace and mercy come in at. Sometimes your ancestors can work with a spirit and plead your prayer to the divine on your behalf. This is why you need your elevated ancestors. They know the language of spirits. They know how to talk to these spirits and get them to work and move for you. So that's why they are like they can advocate for you. That's why we need this. So you better get your head at the sand, okay? This is why we got this relationship with our ancestors. Make sure our work stay clear. When we do a spell, it's gonna work because we're in alignment with it. Okay. And when they see us working on ourselves, especially when you're doing shadow work and they see you working on yourself, I mean, for the life of me, it was one thing that I struggled with and I still struggle with from time to time, and it is my grief. And I just I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm beside myself. They said, baby, it's grief. Cry, scream, do whatever you need to do. But I wanted to get rid of this feeling. But they understood what was going on with me. As long as I'm staying persistent with the work and trying to heal this, they're willing to keep working with me. They're there with us in our struggles till they human. So they can advocate better for you on the divine than you can yourself because they know the language of spirit. You don't. That's why I have to tell people you don't know anything. Yeah, you read a lot of books, but we don't know anything up under our ancestors. You really don't. And they had to tell me that they said, I don't care what you know, what you read, you don't know anything. Okay? That's why we here, okay? So stop saying you know stuff because you don't. Get somewhere and sit down and be quiet. They have told me that. They're gonna tell you that. Okay, that's how you know it's gonna be them because they're not gonna be telling you yes to everything. They're gonna be growing you and telling you no, get somewhere and sit down, get over there and heal. What's going on with you right there? Why you sad right there? They're gonna be bringing things up to you. But if you're not checking in with yourself and you're trying to check out and all this other stuff, then you're gonna be missing a lot of healing and a lot of helpful information from your ancestors. This ain't no play pretty. I don't care what you sing, have people making. I don't care. I'm not gonna get in my soapbox, ancestors. Please fix it. Please fix it. That's what's gonna need to happen. We gotta have to slow down. I know you don't want to do that. You think it's fast, but it's not. Hi, Gerald. Yep, yep. I'm telling you, they ain't gonna get nowhere. And all of us have, I've been doing this for over 20 years. Believe me, this spirit ain't got no shortcuts. And the minute that you think you're gonna take a shortcut. I don't know how it happened with me. The spirit's gonna get you together real quick, like no, they're gonna get you together. Okay, and I want you to have a successful practice. I want you to see all these beautiful changes, all these miracles and things like that. I want you to experience that. That's why I know why it's so important to do this the right way, so you can get some excellent results, and your practice is off to a good start. And there's no limit to where this can go. There's no limit with the ancestors. There is no limit to where you can go with them. I assure you of that. Anything you want to learn spiritually, they're going to teach you. And I've opened you up for that. The way we approach this work, I open you up for that. I don't put limitations on your practice. I leave it open for you to grow. That's how your ancestors, that's what hoodoo is. Okay? So I definitely leave that open for you. When this is done, it strengthens and increases the frequency level of that spirit, which in turns gives them the ability to do things other spirits cannot do. As stated before, higher frequency equals greater power. clarity, and intelligence. So that's why I need you reading. I need you thinking on a spiritual level. So by you not knowing this, again, your frequency low. You steady asking people questions. You ain't ascending in your consciousness. This is about ascend. You're gonna actually have to be intelligent. You actually gonna have to start spiritually feeding yourself. This is what this is about. This is spiritual food. This is soul food. This is the science of the spirits, and that's something that you don't know. And in order to do this successfully, we got to renew our mind, the renewing, the restoring, restoration of our mind. We need to get our mind right. Does this make sense to you? People trying to skip this. On each realm, there are lessons to be learned and tests to pass, and they will be testing you. These realms are filled with teachers as well as spirit schools, where spirits can learn and advance themselves. Just like we in the living graduate through levels of education and skill sets, spirits who want to advance do the same. They learn what they need and they advance on. Those that have accepted death have elevated to higher levels each attain a purpose, and they are considered superior spirits or spirits on higher order. The same thing, you have that over there with the elevated ancestors. They still have to get their work done, and some of their assignment is helping us clear out intergenerational trauma, clearing up their bloodline. It don't stop. We're both working together, and they have our very best interest in heart. They want to see us succeed because they are invested in our elevation and ascension. It raises the frequency of the DNA of our bloodline. Have I lost anyone here? Have I confused anyone here? Any questions? Because I want you to get this wrong. We only call on elevated ancestors. We do not call on family members because many of our family members are sick. That's why we're sick. That's why we got to do all this work. They tried their best. Okay? We ain't blaming them. But we ain't calling on them because they sick. Okay, we're not calling on family. We're not calling on family. We're calling on elevated ancestors. This is going to make sense as we move on. Many of these spirits have acquired the power to travel back and forth through many different realms, even down to the first one nearest us, where they can teach, protect, and provide for us. Our elevated ancestors can help us, advise us, and do things for us from the other side that they could not do when they were alive. The reality of the ancestors are spirit guides, the egunguns, the Getty, based on faith and conviction. When you analyze faith, you find that it is the mental attitude against which there is no longer a contradiction in the mind, and it entertains it. Now, this is where this comes in at. A lot of you, when you start communicating with your ancestors, this is not like religion. You are coming in direct contact with spirits. Yes, they hear you. Know that they hear you. Okay? They hear everything that you're saying. And your faith is going to be involved too because it's building trust. It's building trust. You're having to trust something that you can't see versus this physical reality where people are here to manipulate your energy. And that is a battle all in its own. You're going to have to learn to trust your ancestors, even though the outside may be tempting and look so real. Believe me, people will sit there and lie to your face. A convincing lie. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose. I don't know. And the ancestors be telling you the truth the whole time. Yes. And it's going to take your faith and know that the ancestors ain't lying, even though these people are telling you a convincing lie. So you're going to be building trust up that way because there's a lot of convincing lies out here. Okay, there's a lot of trying to manipulate and steal your energy by any means necessary. Just your attention. That's a lot of energy. Unfortunately, we find that there is a great faith in fear. Got to get that fear out of the way, that survival mode out of the way. That you gonna go to hell, talking to your ancestors. Uh, you know, how you gonna go to hell talking to your ancestors, and these people are sitting there talking about what people that's not even alive in the Bible talking about. So if you gonna go to hell, they gonna go to hell too. Cause you talking about people that's not alive in the Bible, talking about what they said. You calling on Jesus and he ain't alive. So if I'm gonna go to hell, we all gonna go to hell in. If what I'm doing, my ancestors demons, what them people that you talking about over there, they demons too. Since you want to put everybody in the whole bracket, that's why I have to tell religion, especially our community. I'm just gonna deal with our community, the Black Christian our community. I just have to tell y'all, sit down and be quiet because you don't make sense. You don't think about what you're saying and what's coming out your mouth. You just don't. You know, you got to get past that. And I got to get you to thinking like that because I know you ain't never thought about that. That whole Bible, them people that's not alive in there. They talk about people that ain't alive no more, holding on to their every words and what they did and all that. We're doing the same things with these ancestors. That's the same thing we do with that Bible. We actually live the Bible. We don't just talk about it. We are about it. Okay? So if you're dealing with fear and you're still scary and all this spooky stuff with the ancestors, that's a block you're gonna have to work to get through. And I can't do anything about that. You're gonna have to come to terms with that and dismantle those old belief systems. And that consists of a lot of shadow work. Why do you believe that? Why does that make sense to you? You're gonna have to start asking yourself the hard question, and it makes take time to do that. But don't skip it. Because if you skip it, your work is not gonna work because the whole time you're doing something, you're going to be thinking that, something bad is going to happen and you're going to manifest that. You going to manifest whatever you focus on, going to manifest. If you think you're going to have a bad experience, that's what you're going to have because that's what you're going to attract. That's what frequency you on. So you're going to have to get your mind together. There's no sense if you have not dismantled that. That's why I introduce shadow work because I know all the intergenerational trauma and all that crap we need to work through in order to access the magic. Have I lost anyone? And if you come in our community, I'm not going to let you be lost. As soon as you get over there, again, I'll repeat this. There are pinned posts there with hyperlinks to books where you need to get started at. Take your time. Because there's a lot of cleansing that's going to be going. You're going to be getting a lot of familiar with water. You'll be doing a lot of cleansing, a lot of uncrossing on yourself. And baths should be done 3, 7, 9 days in a row. One bath ain't going to get it. Hoodoo works in layers. So really go through your spiritual bath books. Because they're there. They're going to tell you how to take a spiritual bath and how that should be looking. You really, and when you should be taking them. What is the best time to take them? It's all there. All there. The best time to take your bath. Then start asking your ancestors. Do a divination. When should I be doing this, ancestors? Should I do it the full moon or the new moon? Do a divination. We even go over divination over there. I've even did tarot workshops over there. Okay, but their divination is going to have to go hand in hand when it comes to communicating with your ancestors until they start coming in your dreams or you pick up another form. Some people have 2 forms of divination. It all depends on what your ancestors lead you to do. And everything that we do, we get consent for our ancestors. We don't put up no spells. We don't do nothing. We go to our ancestors first when we start having problems because they are our main fixer. Okay? They're gonna tell us go over here and I think you should work with this angel. I think we need you to read this scripture right here for 10 days. We need you to take this bath for 3 days. Go ahead and get these herbs and do this and do that and put that together and get that working. We want you to do that. They'll tell you what to do. We don't do anything without them. This you're gonna become a medium through this as well. And after you have done that for a while, your ancestors might allow you to work with other spirits. But first spirits that you work with is your most elevated ancestors. Have I lost anyone on this? That's who you work with first. You don't work with no other spirits because you don't know. You don't know nothing about no spirit. You don't know. So why would you be doing that? Think about that now. You don't know. And if you want to stay safe and stay protected, these are the ones that's gonna keep you safe and protected before you go work with any other spirit. They're gonna teach you how to do that, and most likely they will set that up for you when you start telling them you were looking at other spirits should you be working with them. What do they think about that? Does this make sense to you? This in the books, okay? I don't care what these people, saying up here. A lot of these people are charlatans. They are just, I'm telling you, they've been telling y'all the wrong stuff. I see it all the time. That's why I got to come up here and be passionate about telling you the truth. Faith is real to the one who experiences it and cannot be denied to the mind of, of the one who has proven it. Faith is the confirmation and proof of things not seen, and through proof, we are asking our guardian angel, ancestors, and spirit guides to intervene and bring us divine blessings. God's infinite power is manifested through our ancestors, God and guides. This is the hierarchy of prayer. You want your prayers really to be answered? That's why I say you'll be going opening your mouth a lot. You won't hardly be doing, what you call spells like that. You'll be doing a lot of altar devotion, a lot of prayer work, a lot of bathing, keeping yourself purified in alignment. You're gonna be doing a lot of that. That's what's gonna be going on there. They're gonna be making intercession for you. This is how this goes. God's infinite power is manifested through our ancestors, our guides. So by praying to and honoring them, we petition their guidance to fulfill our divine purpose. We become closer to our creator, and to help us become successful and healthy in our everyday lives. What's going. If you ain't got no prayer life, you gonna get one. Cause like I tell you, hoodoo is a way of life. This is a way of life. Have I lost anyone? You got a question to ask? Did I miss anything? I don't want you to get this twisted. And we only call on our most elevated ancestors. Once again, we do not call on sick people. Some of our family was raggedy and sick. We're not blaming them, you know, but we know they were sick. So we're not going to call on them because we know they're not going to be able to help us the way we need. Reflecting on your ancestors boosts intellectual performance and confidence. Awareness of family predispositions, including behavioral, health risks, may encourage life choices that benefit you and your future for generations. Forgiveness, a common component of family healing and ancestral repair work, promotes greater physical and mental health. Ancestors' work also encourages introspection and greater clarity about life purpose, which in turn creates more personal satisfaction and sense of meaning in life. Now, this comes from the book Ancestral Medicine. And what I like about this book, Ancestral Medicine, and you're going to see this in a few books when it comes to ancestors and dealing with spirits. They're going to be prompting you. They're going to be asking you shadow work questions in this book. Yeah, that's why I tell you this goes hand in hand. This ancestral repair work. This is ancestors' work. Everybody tell you about the ancestors, but they don't tell you about the work that you need to do to cultivate a healthy relationship with them. You're hearing it here today. I have people all the time say, "Well, my family members is raggedy." I don't know my family members. No, 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 no. I'm scared to do this. And then I have to explain this to them because this is being left out. Or I have to tell them, okay, go read this book so you can fully understand what ancestor veneration is. We're definitely not trying to get you to honor your abusers or anyone who was cruel to you. That's definitely not what this is about. This is more about healing and getting in alignment and doing the repair work on you that was passed on to you. This is the most powerful work you can ever do. Okay? You can start to understand and contain and transform patterns of pain and abuse and gradually reclaim the positive spirit of the family. That's what we're doing. Okay, we're transforming that stuff. We're becoming our ancestors' wildest dream, what they could not be before they was, after they was touched by trauma. Are you really asking me that? Are you really asking me that? I would invite you to do the shadow work. That's what I would invite you to go do that, cause that sound like you need to do shadow work. You pray the same way. You don't pray no different. Is no right or wrong way to do it. What feels right to you? I would recommend heavy shadow work for you, because I see Bri brother said, how do I pray? Ever since I left the church, I've been confused about the right or wrong way to do it. Here we go. This how we get caught up. We complicate that. It's the same way. Why do you believe there is a wrong or right way to pray? Who told you that? Who told you that it was a right or wrong way to pray? Because when you go to your ancestors, you're gonna go to them just like I'm talking to you. When I talk to my ancestors, I talk to my ancestors the same way I talk to y'all. Ancestors, they made me mad. You know I'm crazy. You know what's going on with me. You know what I want to go do. I talk to them just like that. Ancestors, please fix me. If I'm looking at this wrong, I be sincere. Ain't no sense in shucking and jiving, because if you're trying to go there with some fluff, they're gonna see through you. So you might as well be real. That it's not like the church. A lot of the church be pretending this stuff. When you go to these ancestors, if you got the power of prayer, pray. If you don't, just be sincere. These spirits love sincerity. They don't like a lot of fake stuff. They don't care about your fancy words, because it's a lot of people know how to say some fancy words and be lying. Like the ancestors say, a funky pair of lips will say anything. Just be sincere. That's the best thing to be with this spirit. You can't be none else. Be sincere. Don't start trying to do nothing fake, because these spirits can see you when you faking and fronting. So ain't no sense in you going there trying to write something fancy. If you can do that, you like writing poems to them, and you just want to create a beautiful prayer to them, fine. But the most important thing is to stay sincere. They like sincerity and purity. These spirits love that. They like to see you naked in the spirit. They like to see you, they ain't no faking and funking over here. You better be for real. That's the most important thing you can be with these spirits. I don't care what you seeing out here, what these people is showing you. Don't be fooled. You're gonna hear me say that a lot of times, because a lot of y'all being tricked out here. Okay? It's a lot of trickster spirits out there. There's so many tricksters out there, and they got on the right aesthetics. They are influencers. They're more influencers, and they got these aesthetics on than they are really in alignment with spirit. So it said, I don't care. You better stop following these pretty little faces and these aesthetics, because that's gonna get you crossed up. I don't even want you following me. That's why I send you right to them, right where you need to be. Over there with them ancestors, getting yourself somewhere, being quiet and reading your resources, so you'll know. No, you shouldn't be begging. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't be begging. Should be requesting, petitioning. Right up, go look up the declarations. Go look up decrees. That's what I would recommend you do. Go look up declaration, look up decrees, and look how to write a spiritual petition. Those things you probably want to look up. That is probably going to help you better understand prayer and how you should be wording things. We talk about that in our community too. Petitions, paper in my shoe, how to write up petitions and things like that. Okay, so that's what we should be doing, working on those patterns. And this is the part that people want to skip. They want to say, I'm just like that. Well, you just raggedy. You just want to stay raggedy. You got some people like that. They don't want to change. They like the way they is. When you engage in your loving ancestors, you can catalyze healing breakthroughs in your family, including establishing appropriate boundaries with living relatives. Also, when you make yourself available for ancestral repair work, the recently deceased are in turn more able to help living family members navigate their journey to become ancestors after death. Because they still got to elevate when they go, even when they cross over. Okay. And with these family members, you're going to start, when you start doing the shadow work, you're going to start seeing all these unhealthy relationships that's in your family that you didn't got your energy entangled in. And you're going to be pulling back and being say, hey, no, this is not good for my energy. And some of those family members that's under that trauma like they are going to be upset with you because they're not going to be able to use and abuse and to traumatize you and keep you in that karmic loop. So you're gonna, this is ancestors' work. You have to set boundaries with family so you can stop all that inherit all that generational trauma. And it's gonna piss some people in your family off. You're gonna be grieving a lot and crying a lot. This ain't gonna be all happy. Some beautiful things gonna be happening in your life, but growth and ascension is not always gonna feel good. Forget this love and light stuff that people are telling you. So sometimes growing hurts because are not gonna be able to do all this people pleasing, caretaking, butt kissing, denial, living in all that goes away. Can't do that stuff no more. That's what got the family sick. Backbiting, gossiping, all that stuff got to stop because it's keeping the family in a lower frequency. And you're gonna have to start setting boundaries with some of your family members that got a lot of that regular stuff going on. They're gonna be upset with you, and you might be telling me, Miss Penny, everybody is sick because they said it's my fault. Yes, it's your fault because you bought the medicine, and that medicine nasty, but it's making it better. It's making you better, ain't it? And it's holding up the mirror to what they got to fix. You're a mirror to them now, so you're never gonna be the same. And you're gonna really understand why you were born in that family, because that family needed that medicine, and a lot of them are not gonna like it. So you're gonna have to deal with and accept that as well. This comes with that. You say you want to be woke. You say you want to ascend. You say you want a relationship with your ancestors, your most elevated, beloved ancestors. This what comes with it. This what gets left out. I've seen many people leave this out and they're stagnated in their practice. They're out to just sitting there because they don't know what else to do. And then when I tell many of them this, they are so entangled in the dysfunction and a lot of cleansing that needs to go on that they don't even have the strength to do the shift. They're just bamboozled by that because they can't believe that's what they supposed to be doing. They think that, they supposed to go off and work with another spirit. No, you're not. You just said your spells and stuff weren't working. You weren't getting nothing from your ancestors. It's just sitting there with working with another spirit. That's gonna get you crossed up or get you into a pack. You don't, get you in a pickle with a spirit that you don't want to get yourself into. I see it all the time. Okay, that's where I was at, feeling like which ones to call on. I only have one relative that comes to mind, but I know we have unknown ones. We call on our most elevated ancestors. Okay. On the culture and collective level, the ancestors are powerful allies in transforming historical trauma relating to race, gender, religion, war, and other types of collective pain. Recent findings in epigenetics are showing that in a very real way, the pain of our ancestors can endure through generations. That's what we're seeing now in us. That's why we're so scared of our ancestors. It's ingrained in us that our ancestors evil. We scared of our ancestors. I have to go through this. That religious programming is so ingrained in our head is sad. It's sad. Okay, so you got to break through that. That's why I say before you start picking up things, let's get this together first. Let's break all this programming so you don't have to keep doing blockbusters and blockbusters and blockbusters, and because that's what's gonna happen. Let's deal with this now, peel back all this raggedy stuff and just love on ourselves and heal on ourselves and open ourselves up to our magic because that's what needs to happen. Okay, it ain't no shortcuts to this. I don't care, what the folks saying. I'm gonna keep saying that. I don't care. I had to be like that in my practice. You'll be like that too when you get in your. You can stand strong in your ancestors, and they done pour wisdom in. You know better. You ain't gonna care what nobody say. That ain't what your ancestors told you. You gonna stand on that just like me. Watch. When you up under them ancestors like that, they done told you. Ain't nobody gonna be able to make no fool out of you. You don't give a damn what they say. You're gonna be like, I don't care. I don't care what you say. That's not true. You're gonna be just like this. You don't care what nobody else say. And that's how I want you to be in your practice. You should be up under your ancestors, your elevated ancestors, because these people they mean well. Some of them not gonna say all of them mean to do what they do. But hey, you trying to make your life better, and you are trying to spiritually ascend. Ain't a person in the world, that's gonna be doing this work like you gonna be need to do it for yourself. To me, I close my mouth, open my heart, and I use words at times. But for me, I feel okay. That's a good thing. But they're gonna need you to be talking too. Okay, because there's power in your voice. Your voice has its own frequency and vibration. And when we get the petition asking for things, they pick up on that and they can move for us. Now they speak through word, they speak through feelings, and they speak to us through thoughts and feelings. But they love when we use our voice, okay, and say what we want. Because that gives them the power to do what they need to do. Okay, like what's the saying say? A closed mouth can't be fed. If you don't say you hungry, how to help somebody know? So you have to speak too. So keep that in mind. There's power in your voice. Your voice is unique, just like your fingerprint. Okay, so keep that in mind. In a landmark 2013 study on the biological transmission of trauma, a team of researchers showed that the children, as well as the grandchildren and further descendants survivors, are especially prone to depression, anxiety, and nightmares. This has what has been passed on to us, you guys. They know this. They know this, especially Black Americans. We are stuck in victim mode. You can see it as plain as day. We do fight, flight, uh freeze, and fawn. Even with what's going over there today, with all these unalivings of people that look like me, we're studied trying to fight, fight, fight. Then we go into the fawning, went into the line dancing. And then we just freeze. We're just not gonna do anything. We're going again, we're still in that state of trauma, and they know that. They know that we were born with a level of high anxiety. That's why we have, all these mental disorders in our community. We have high blood pressure, diabetes, and all that. It's gonna go back to trauma. We have a book in our community called The Body Keeps the Score. Go read that. Read that book. I think I've posted a YouTube video in there on it. But that is a good book. The body remembers. The body remembers that trauma. We carried that in us some, and you won't know that you're in survival mode, or you're in, you've experienced a trauma until you sit down and start trying to slow down your nervous system, or you sit down and look at all these personalities and behavior traits in your family. Why you wonder why we be acting like that, why they be doing crazy stuff, why they drink so much. You know, you're gonna be looking at these behavior, and that's gonna give you a lot of insight about how that trauma touched your family. Then you look at yourself, how am I carrying? Maybe you're a caretaker, maybe you're a control freak, maybe you're a people pleaser. You carrying in some kind of way. That's how trauma it manifests itself and trickle down. And a lot of us denied what everybody life like that. Everybody go through that. We didn't told ourselves that to again, this is a form of denial, so you don't have to deal with the issue. But when you start doing this work, you are forced to deal with the issue and start ascending. So you can start separating yourself from that energy. and start ascending. Does this make sense? So you doing the work intellectually. All this work together. Ain't nobody waking up just the next day. Everything love and light. Not them people is faking. Because they ain't did this work. This is hard work, and no one can take this away from you. This is real soul work. Okay. This is where it is. You're going to see this being repeated in a lot of ancestors' book. They're going to be prompting you for shadow work and asking you questions, even about your belief systems. That's why I got to get you reading and looking for yourself. And people are not mentioning this. If a practitioner is not breaking this down to you like this, that is a red flag, you guys. They're telling you just do an ancestor out. They're not explaining this to you and even encouraging you to look it up yourself because it's a really simple practice. It's really simple. The most simplest thing you're going to be consistent and going there and talking to your ancestors. It is the most easiest ritual you can get started, and you can start seeing results. I'm going to say it again, if a practitioner's not breaking this down to you, that is a red flag. They're showing you spells and all that stuff and having slowed you down to the foundation of the practice, then that is a red flag. Okay? When we let's go here. This transgenerational transmission of trauma is a new field of study. In many ways, it overlaps with ancestral repair work. Because that's what we're doing here. This is the repair work we do it. And every time we repair ourselves, we come in contact with brighter and brighter ancestors. And they work harder for us on our behalf because they see us doing the work. It's like putting money in the bank. That's how I look at it. I be excited now when they tell me to go work on something, especially here lately. They told me to go work on something. I didn't want to work on it because it was making me sad and upset. I just really didn't know what's going on. And then said, this is this, and you're gonna have to be okay with it because it's just gonna be there. And I was just I didn't like it. I sat with it and I cried about it, that I had to deal with it like that, you know. But in turn, my work started moving. That's what you'll see. They have told me to heal something. I petitioned them to do something. And soon as I start healing, I be sad about it, but I do it. And I petition them for something. Then they'll tell me, okay, do this. And I'll be like, I can't get that done because you want me to go over and heal. Oh my God. I used to be mad about that. Oh my God. Why? This is all, I whine because we are like little children under them. You're not going to see that until they start telling you to do stuff that you don't want to do. Okay. And you go to whining. And that's how I was. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't do it. And as soon as I start doing it, my work started moving. I said, oh my God, that's all I had to do. They said, that's all we want you to do. You whine so much. Stop whining. And now I'm more willing to open up to it. And that's going to be like that sometimes. They move even faster when you start healing. And you're willing to look at that, you know, and take care of yourself. They would even, tell you, well, you need to go over there and work with this angel so you can work on this. We want you to love on yourself and heal yourself this. And I be thinking they're not going to do it. And then they do it while I'm healing, during the act while I'm healing. It's almost like that is the price to get it done, if that makes sense. The healing journey feels like it's infinite. I've been doing shadow work and therapy for 4 years. There's always more healing to be done. Yep. Long as you're here on this planet, you're going to be healing. Because this, people is here to hijack your energy. This is about hijacking your energy. So as long as you're here, yeah, you're going to be doing something because these people here, I'm grateful ancestors to be here, but it's a lot but the more you are seeing in your conscious, the more you're going to see this is a ghetto planet. This raggedy. These folks is raggedy. It's just raggedy stuff going on here. The more you are seeing, because that's just how it's going. I think it's a bittersweet thing, awakening. You see, but then the stuff that you do see is, it makes you a little sad. It's a little grief with it. You just, that's how it's been for me. And then humans make less and less sense to you the more you are seeing. That's how it's been for me. Humans make less sense to me and more I send in my consciousness. And you might get there too. When we reconcile with ancestors who experienced different types of persecution or who enacted violence and oppression, we make repairs in our personal psyches and family histories. That in turn mend cracks in the larger spirit of humanity. This supports us in moving beyond the identifying with victim or victimizer consciousness and embodying that what is beautiful and helpful from the past. Transforming generations of family and cultural pain also frees us to draw upon the support of loving ancestors for prosperity in our vocation and service in the world. We also bring honor and joy to our ancestors when we heal intergenerational challenges, support healthy families, and live as good as ethical people on earth. Generally, any act of service that encourages healthy families, children, and a future for humans here on earth also reverberates in a positive way among the ancestors. Okay, so that again, when you start doing this work, you're going to start ascending and receiving so much other help from the elevated ancestors. And just by you being willing, that's a lot of power and a lot of energy, a lot of fuel you're giving them to work on your behalf because they want that for you. And this is why it is too when you start doing your practice and you get good at it and you develop a good relationship with your ancestors. And maybe you've met some spiritual friends, some saints that your ancestors probably have you working with. I don't know. And people might want you to come work and do some work for them. An important thing for you to remember when you get good at this and your spirit relationships begin to develop very well is that you can't put raggedy stuff on your altar. You just cannot, because these ancestors will not allow it. Always do a divination before you do any work for people. I don't care what they're saying. You go ask your ancestors first because you don't want to be putting nothing raggedy up there and offend these spirits, because some of them you can cause them not to work with you again. You can tick them off and be like, no, she didn't put them up there and that person sitting up here lying, doing raggedy stuff. I know you didn't. You can ruin your spiritual relationships putting people up there who are being dishonest and you're trying to help. And you see that all the time. You even have practitioners that don't care. They would do raggedy stuff. Let them do raggedy stuff. That's not me over here. I don't teach you that way. That to me, you are reenacting intergenerational trauma when you're doing that. That is for justice work. You are repeating intergenerational trauma, the witchcraft. That's the witchcraft. I'm not going to do that. Let me be absolutely clear. And if that's what you like, then go somewhere else. Because I don't encourage raggedy stuff. It's got to be justified. It is the way this was set up. Now, if somebody want to go over there and be doing raggedy stuff for people like that, you go right ahead with it. That's not how I rock. That ain't how I roll. Okay? I don't just be doing unjustified stuff. It's not good to be doing unjustified stuff because there is a cause and effect. Now we don't think it'll come back sevenfold like they do in Wicca, but there is a law of cause and effect, and there is divine order over here in Hoodoo, no matter what these people are telling you. Okay, any questions before we move on? When we forget our origins, we're more likely to enact and reinforce unhelpful intergenerational patterns. Hello, life poetry. If only because no one has warned us about family burdens. We don't get warned. Some of our first heartbreak is going to be from your family members. They set you up for developing relationships in the world, with the relationships you have with them. If only because no one has warned us about family burdens, insofar as the ancestors look to us to heal the troubles passed down along the bloodlines. Unwillingness to heal can keep them from fulfilling their role in the repair work. Repeating old harmful patterns can keep the ancestors stuck along with us. Lack of consideration for family members after death also increases the risk that they will fail to be fully elevated and arrive as ancestors. So, this is why the work needs to be done. Somebody in ancestors, somebody in your family member needs to be an elevated ancestors representing that lineage as well. That's actually doing the work. This is why the work is so important. And I trip out when people thinking they gonna seek their ancestors on somebody. I'm gonna get my ancestors on you. I'm gonna get my ancestors. You ain't gonna do nothing. You gonna get somewhere and sit down and heal and be quiet. That's what you gonna do. That's what your ancestors want you to do. They want you to sit down, be quiet, and get somewhere and heal. But you around here starting stuff and all this stuff, and you think these ancestors, dolls, you can sick them on people. You need to get somewhere and sit down and go do some protection work and cleansing work. That's what needs to happen. I know what you see on here. And every time they say that, that's what the ancestors tell me when I see them doing that. They need to get somewhere and sit down and be quiet. They need to go do some cleansing work, all crossed up and blocked up. Just got all them wounds hanging out like that. You know, that's what I see. You need to go get somewhere and heal. Okay? Unfortunately, not all those who have died have fully settled into their status as supportive family ancestors. Without proper precautions relating to the troubled dead or not yet ancestors can cause disruption and disequilibrium for the living. Unless you feel confident that any given family ancestors is well in spirit, consider first relating instead with older ancestral guides. This is why I got you working with the most elevated ancestors. They are the oldest ancestors that have not been touched by trauma and initiating their lineage repair process. They're going to help you with that. That's why we're calling on the most elevated ancestors. Feeling this support of loving ancestors can help you update old perceptions. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. Establish healthy boundaries, forgive past harms, and show up in a more conscious way with your living family. Even if you have no contact with or knowledge of your biological family, or you are the last of your lineage, you can still call upon the assistance of loving ancestors and strengthen this relationship over time. Keyword over time, because they like consistency. They got to see if you real. If you someone you think you finna see some results in 2 or 3 days and stuff like that, then this probably ain't for you because you're gonna have to get somewhere and sit down and actually develop a relationship. That's just like, with any other person that you meet. You're not gonna trust them right off the bat. You got to spend time with them, talk to them, engage with them, develop a relationship with them before y'all can go to the next level. This is the same thing with your ancestors. They got to see that you're consistent. They got to see your sincerity. They're looking at your lifestyle. They're looking at how much you're studying, what you're healing. They looking at all that. So you can play with me. And see, this is why some people go into psychosis because you want to get over here and you think you can play. Don't do it because you can't. Do the work. Sit down and do the work. Don't be trying to take no fast track. I know you don't want to hear this because everybody's showing you a pretty little spell gonna fix things up. And really at the end of that, I see it all the time. You're gonna be coming to somebody like me to fix you. And they're gonna be telling you to put that stuff down, get somewhere and sit down. You need to do some healing work and stay on the ancestor altar. Don't pick nothing else up. And some incision work needs to go on. Not no more spells. Some incision work. Hey, time shifting army. Okay? Incision works needs to go on. Now, I don't care what these people is telling you. I will say this again. I'm sure about mines. I can stand on mines. This, I assure you of that. I can stand on this. I'm not with the fluff. I'm going to tell you what's going to work. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to play with you. The ancestors won't allow me to do it. And plus, I just can't lie. I got to tell you the truth and give you full disclosure about how this works. This is a science to this. People have written ancestors books all over the world. This is the most simplest, easiest practice. The only way you can mix this up, especially in our community, is you don't do it. You're not opening up books. You're not learning. You are consuming too many videos. You are following too many people. You are scrolling. You have not made time for self care and healing. That's the only way you can get this messed up. I assure you of that. Now that I bank on. If you're not making progress with ancestor veneration, you still confused with ancestor veneration, you still stuck at ancestor veneration, it's you. It's you. It ain't the ancestor, it's you. I can assure you of that. I can stand on that. If you're not making progress in ancestor veneration and you're still confused at ancestor veneration, it is because something that you are doing. I assure you of that. Because you can't get this wrong if you're doing the work. They're going to show up when you show up. Okay? So don't blame it on nobody else. Don't blame it on nobody else. If your ancestor veneration is stagnated and it is not moving, it is because something that you are not doing, that you are ignoring. I see it every time. I see people who want to do this and got an ancestor altar up but want to do hoodoo. And it's not going to work that way. Get that together first. Get that together first. Break down your fears, your beliefs, or whatever you got with that. But that ancestor altar at some point needs to be coming in the house. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be on the property. An altar needs to go. At some point, an altar is going to go up if you're doing hoodoo. If you plan on doing hoodoo, at some point, an altar is going to have to come up. If you want to deepen your relationship with the ancestor, there has to be more consistency and an altar or altar being built. I want to be absolutely clear about that. Because they not, if you sporadic with them, you only doing it every now and then. Why would they show up there for you and you're not invested in a relationship? Would you want that? Would you want somebody to do you like that? They show up for you every now and then. Would you be trusting of that person? No, you're not going to be trusting of them. You're not going to be trying to do nothing for them. You don't see them all the time. They don't come over here and visit you and spend time with you that much. So why would you show up for them? Think about that. You ain't got time for them. Well, the ancestors ain't got time for you. I hear that too. I ain't got time, but you want to do magic though. Oh my God. You want these spirits to show up for you, but you ain't got time. Sit with that. Slow your mind down. If you got anxiety or you have a learning, some of us have a learning curve or a learning disability. We even have stuff on audio. You have reader apps. And for me, I have a passion about it. So I use all of them. Okay. I use it all because I want options on how I can, ascend and learn things. If I don't feel like physically reading, then I'll listen to a book, write down my notes, and rewind it and go over it again. There's too many ways. Just not no excuse for not going over your resources. They got reader apps and everything right there. Sometimes they have them on audio books. Sometimes I'll post the audio book in there. There's really no reason for not knowing this. This is the base of the work. This is the foundation of the work. Stop trying to pick up spells and stuff until you get this together. And once you get this together, a lot of cleansing needs to be going on. A lot of healing going to be going on. A lot of uncrossing work going to be going on. A lot of blockbuster work going to be going on. You're going to be doing a lot of work on yourself and not on nobody. That's where your first work going to come at, working on you, fixing you. Not nobody else, just you. Because when you change, everything else is going to change. That's going to put you in alignment with any work that you need to do when you start doing the change. So when you go to your altar and you get ready to move some stuff, it's going to move because you're in alignment. Does that make sense to you? Hope I haven't lost anyone. Have you lost anyone? You still with me? This the part nobody like. Everybody like, show me and tell me a spell. Tell me how to take this spell. And tell me this. Nobody say, sit down and tell me how to be quiet and heal. And nobody say it because that's not fun. That's not the fun part. Okay? For them, okay, we just said that. Okay. No longer tethered to the earth by name or living memory, these older ancestors often appear to living people as a group of collective energy. And I've seen them like that. Okay. I see them like that. Okay. I see you in here, Tori. I see again, yeah, I see them like collective energy. Like I, this is what I see when I go into meditation. Everybody meditation experience is different because everybody has their third eye works differently. And so with me, I have seen them collectively and seen how they feel. Okay. Nonetheless, you may experience ancestors from any period of time as individual spirits or distinct lineage as a collective presence. Ideally, you would feel loved and supported by your older ancestors, and you're going to feel that by the beloved elevated ancestors. These are not family members. They almost feel like angelic, you know, feel like a real old grandparent. That's what if they feel like real old grandparents. And the most influentials that I see that pass up, I mean, that come up. I don't know other people. I've heard some other practitioners talk about it as they relationship deepen with the ancestors. But it's going to be a lot of older women that come forward. A lot of women with a lot of this magical wisdom. That's how it's been working for me. But these are older ancestors, and you again, the way you connect with them, again, is going out into nature, pouring libations, going to a for me, going to historical sites like the mounds and all that. That helped me connect with the most older ancestors. Okay, but we're talking about the older, elevated ancestors. Okay. Ideally, you would feel loved and supported by your older ancestor. However, accessing their support can call for healing and repair with living family and with recent ancestors. It's going to require you healing. You just heard them say that. And you might have to fix some relationship with recent family members and make an amends and start changing your behavior. All this comes together because we got to get you in alignment with these cosmic energies. Alignment has to happen here. That's how the hoodoo work. That's how we work with all the herbs and roots like that because we are in alignment with the word. This is about alignment and balance. And people tell me, I got that balance, I got alignment. Well, do you really? Because this, I ain't seen you talk about this. Do you really? Because you're going to have to do this. This is a form of Mayad. This is how sometimes your ancestors have you studying Mayad. Mayad is all about this. Yeah. You got to be able to will, even when you look at the Orisha and you're looking at Ogun and all that, they're talking about these energies, these attributes that are inside of you that you have to wield these energies inside of you in order for you to manifest them on the physical realm. That's what this about. So you can't be working with no Oshun, no Ogun if you ain't in alignment. You ain't accessed these gateways. You haven't accessed or mastered these energies within you. This work together. You ain't got no will. You ain't got no self mastery. You ain't got no self discipline. How you gonna move something? You don't even have the will to change yourself. So how you gonna have the will to change something on the outside of you? If you ain't got the strength on the inside, how you gonna have any strength on the outside? Does this make sense to you? As I say, you need to get some understanding and get wisdom. Understand the science of this. We ain't just out here being out here just doing spells whenever we want to, doing whatever we want to. There is a science to this, and if you want it to work, it's important that we understand the science and how this works. And it ain't just spells. It's gonna take you to tap into your own inner alchemy. The change start with you. If you're able to change yourself, it's gonna be easy for you to shift your reality. Let's work together. I don't know what they're telling you. That's why I gotta slow you down. That's why I want you to be looking in these ancestors book, because if you read the books on ancestors, most of them are going to be prompting you to do shadow work every time. Every time. There's no ancestors work without shadow work. There's no developing a relationship with the ancestors without shadow work. I know no one has told you that. This might be very new to you. So I invite you to sit with this for a minute and open up your resources so you can see it for yourself, so you can see Miss Penny ain't lying. Even over there in Ifa, you're going to do what they call a Pele. I probably can't pronounce it right. You're going to do some character work over there. You're going to do some inner work over there. You're going to do character work. In the ATRs, yes, you are. It's the same thing over here in Hoodoo. And them ancestors going to require you to do it in order to tap into power. Okay? You see that in most martial arts, what they doing in martial arts, they tap into their power when they learn their inner discipline. That's where your power is. They learn to discipline their body and discipline their mind. They tap into their power. The same thing here. Slowing down, learning how to meditate, tapping into your third eye, using your imagination. Everybody talking about third eye open. Okay, is it really open? How's your imagination? Are you able to go to different realms in your mind yet? Have you perfected path working and going to a secret place in your mind to meet your ancestors and have a conversation with them and it be accurate? Is your third eye working? Do you know how to travel to different realms in your mind? Do you know how to have a conversation with the ancestors in your mind? Do you know how to talk to different spirits in your mind and use your imagination and come out with the right information? Is your third eye working? I don't care what these people tell me. I'm awake. I'm my third eye open. Is it really? Is it really? Because ain't none of y'all talking about no spirits. You're talking about egotistical stuff. Is it really? You want to know how your third eye works? You're going to be using it a lot to talk to your ancestors with the meditation and the healing that you're going to be doing on yourself. Okay, I hope this is making sense to you. If you feel a connection with older lineages, ancestors whose names are now forgotten, how far back in time does this reach? Even practitioners of ancestors' reverence seem to relate mostly to ancestors from the past 2 or 3 thousand years ago. Most people resonate with the ancestors from 200 to 10,000 years ago, 10,000 to 2,000 years ago. Earlier ancestors 2,000 to 500 years ago. I always go back to 10,000 to 2,000 years ago. Those are ancestors that I prefer to work with. I don't get, and if I work with any earlier ancestors, I'm specific about the ancestors I choose to work with. There were icons in our cultures, such as Malcolm X, uh, Marie Laveau or something like that, and these would be called like saint like in hoodoo. They can be worked with, but being specific about what spirits you are working with. Now we covered that a little bit with the Underground Railroad spirits, which I'm about to go into in a minute. That's what we're calling on our most elevated ancestors, the ancient ancestors, human ancestors, the first agriculturists, the urban folks, and some of the earlier ancestors known to history. And we're not going to remember the names of the ancestors that are more than 2,000 to 10,000 years old because their name is lost in history. They know who they are when we call them elevated ancestors. You call them by the year or how you. I call on the elevated ancestors. That's enough right there. We don't complicate that. Just elevated ancestors. I just broke you down, breaking it down to you, so you will understand what ancestors that you're calling on when you do this. We're only calling on that's all that's going to come is elevated ancestors. We get to choose. We have boundaries in the spiritual realm too. We get to open our mouth and say we call on our most elevated ancestors, and that's who's gonna come. Don't complicate it because we ain't gotta complicate it. Okay. You're welcome. The best way to honor these older ancestors is to transform inherited pain and dysfunction to embody instead blessings and gifts you inherited from your people. They want that. They want that for you. They want you to have your best life. They want these things for you. But when you refuse to heal and you refuse to develop a relationship with them, they can't help you. And some of us want the benefits want all the benefits, but don't want to put in all the work. Hey, Mr. Enigmatic. Okay. This was, and they people not telling you that. They thinking you that you just call on ancestors and they just finna be no, it doesn't work that way. These are about relationship they ain't heard from you in years. Ain't nobody said did no ancestor veneration in years. And now you just you start calling on them. You think they just supposed to be moving before you. No, they want to get to know you. They ain't really get a chance to meet you and develop a relationship with you. And nobody did in the ancestor veneration in hundreds, maybe hundreds of thousands of years. And now here you come. They got to know what you trying to do with your life, what's your goals, where you need help at, where you having issues at, how they can assist you, what spirits they would like you to work with to help your life be better. All this got to happen. This includes mending collective wounds as they live in your family and communities and inside your own body and soul. Those committed to inner healing already know that family patterns, including the less helpful variety, can sometimes seem like a gift that just keeps on giving. Okay, so again, you just do the work. And you're gonna see this in a book, another book called Ancestral Karma by Stephen Farmer. That's a good book that talks about how to do ancestors work. You got the book Ancestral Medicine by Daniel Ford. That's a good book. Ancestors Path. Uh, I think I can't pronounce that word, that name, Alakudun or something like that. Uh, those are good books. They're telling every last one of the books is going to be mentioning shadow work, and even some of the book of ancestors that we got in there is prompting you to do shadow work as you go through the book. I think ancestor veneration is like that too by Mallory Malados. Valerie, her name is Valerie something, but her book is like that too. And I'm not sure if she mentions that in Badass Ancestors. I'm not sure she goes through that in Badass Ancestors, but that is a really good book too to help you understand uh, ancestor veneration and how broad it is. And they are powerful. You think Oshun powerful? You think Ogun powerful? No, it's nothing more powerful than the ancestors, and you won't see it till they start working in your life. You do yourself a disservice trying to skip and work with the other spirit, because baby, I have no words. I've seen them do stuff and my mouth just be wide open. I'm like, "Oh my God." It just be so profound. I've had not really had to work with many other spirits. You know, they had me working with angels. Uh, I haven't worked with a saint just yet. But they really have me working tough with angels, and I work heavily with my ancestors. That's this really been it. Okay, they can get the job done. I promise you. And if they want you to work with another spirit, they'll help you with that. I assure you of that. There's no limit with the ancestors. I promise to God it ain't. It ain't no limit. It ain't no limit. If they want you want to learn something, they will teach you. And you're gonna know it better than anyone else. You're gonna know things about things that nobody else knows. Miss Penny, what do you think when people say that the ancient polytheistic gods from the ancient Egypt, well, I'm saying that there are fallen angels and demons in person. Don't get into that. You got people are saying stuff to be provocative and things like that. I wouldn't get into that. Learn for yourself. Let these people have their own opinions about things. That's their opinion. But again, it's more important that you validate your own spiritual walk and relationship. Stop listening to people, and why don't you ask the ancestors what they think about it? Because you're going to get a different answer from them. Ain't nobody made up no demons, but these Christian folks. They even got your ancestors listed as demons. They got Papa Legba, Oshun, and all them listed as demons. So you really gonna listen to these people? You gonna listen to spiritually ignorant people that don't know anything about the spiritual science that calls your ancestors dogs and inhumane? Are you really gonna listen to that? No. You have to dismantle all that stuff and listen to people less. Those are their opinions. And when you sit down and talk to your ancestors and get real wisdom and understanding, you ain't gonna be listening to people too much, and you're gonna be knowing where they got it wrong, where they need to be quiet because they don't know what they're talking about. And anytime for me, what the ancestors told me, when it comes to, and this just how the ancestors told me, it comes to men explaining the stories of humanity, they need to be quiet because they don't give birth to children. I know y'all don't want you don't give birth to children, so how you gonna talk about humanity and who was this and that? Just be quiet and sit down, sir. Stop talking about women and what they got. You don't know. You don't give birth to children. Someone told you that you rule the earth, and now you think that you can give commentary on humanity. And you don't. I mean, why are you gonna do that? You don't give birth to children, to humans. You don't know. You think you know, yeah, you think you know because they told you that you're supposed to know, that you all knowing and that you represent God, and that's it's just not true. You got to dismantle that too. Okay, you got to dismantle that. I'm sorry that happened to you, and folks said, got you thinking that you can speak on certain things, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't. And every time I saw that with Bobby Hemmett. He would go into this divine feminine, and I really wanted him to be quiet because he got it wrong every time. He got it wrong most of the time, especially by calling it chaos and women more emotional. You shouldn't. If you're not a woman, then just be quiet. If you don't give birth to children, just be quiet because you didn't birth none of these humans that you're talking about. You birthed none of them. You birthed none of these humans you talked about. I'm very interested in the women who gave birth to these humans. Okay. And I know a lot of men don't like to hear that, but I'd be very interested in women that gave birth to this human. They tend to just not exist in men's sphere, man's sphere. And I find that suspicious to me. Okay. Find it suspicious to me dealing with the fact that we have a lady justice, we had a have a statue of liberty. All these higher vibrational attributes are represented by a woman. But then y'all came along and made this Jesus, and you say he the perfect man, and you know, again, I just don't think they should be talking about humanity because you don't give birth to humans. The people that give birth to humans need to be talking, not. not somebody think that God put them here to rule over women and children. We have to unpack that too, because that's getting us in a lot of trouble. Okay, it's got us following people. It's got us being abused. It's got men, with these false perception, having these heavy narcissistic tendencies with them, misogyny. It just created is everything just backwards. Okay, so I wouldn't really be listening to them because I just wouldn't be, especially if they don't give birth to humans. It makes no sense to me. And why are you talking? Because every animal out here in nature are following. They're usually following their mother. They're not following their daddy. Okay, it is the female species in any species that's running the show and raising families. So just look at nature. It's gonna let you know how far off we are from our natural where we should be. So you think see I'm talking, I just don't what his name? Um, I can't even remember his name now. But he started talking about that, and I just like, hey, dude, y'all need to just stick to y'all story. Stop talking about women. Stop telling stories about humanity. And you ain't gave birth to no women. You don't know how women feel. You don't know what our body. We are God in the flesh. I don't see how you can get that twisted. I don't see how you would even think that, I know what that and told you. How would you think that you represent God and you gave birth to no human? How why are you still sticking with that? Because y'all gonna have to unpack that too. And that's something heavy for you guys. And women gonna have to unpack the fact that really you wear a heavy crown because you are God in the flesh. So you're gonna have to clean up your act and clean up your lineage, your ancestry. You have to clean that up. The way you present yourself gonna have to be God. If you know that you a representation of God, what you think you need to be looking like, how need to be looking. You done forgot who you are, especially black woman. You done forgot who you are. You out here doing raggedy stuff. You forgot you God in the flesh. And yet, the black man forgot that you are God in the flesh. He supposed to be bound down to you. What you think gonna happen if you got you bowed down to a man with your mouth open in church? What you think gonna happen? You got to reblock that too, because some of y'all worshipers of each other. Men are worshiping each other. And then you wonder why your mouth is open in front of a man. What you think gonna happen? What you think is subconsciously sending you? Now, if your mouth you bow down worshiping a woman, we'll be much further in this thing now. We have been ascended. When you get that right. It ain't no man gave birth to no human. I don't even know why he's being worshipped. That's even that you don't even see that in nature like that. Okay, so our mind have to be renewed, and we have to stop letting people distract us and put us in these boxes and leave our mind open to wonder and make our choices ourselves. Stop letting people, put stuff in your head because if you let them, they're gonna do it. That's why we got the government. That's why we got entertainment. That's why and they didn't move to social media now with these podcasters and stuff. They done moved off TV. They online now, trying to entrap your mind. So, like the ancestor told me, if a man is moving his mouth telling a story about humanity, you need to walk away because that's not your story. That's his story. That's his story. His story, not heritage or her story. That's his story. And we know they do a lot of lying in his story. Okay, I hope that made sense to you. That's how it explained to me. You make your own, you read for yourself, you listen to your ancestors, and you see what comes up for you. Okay. And the lineage repair work, the guides and the spirits of those who previously lived on earth as our blood ancestors who are willing to able to support us, support our lives and assist us. Any of the dead who may be troubled. The guides are defining lot lies the highlights, so to speak, of the human incarnation that set the bar along any given bloodline, and they are our older elders in the spirit. Think of them as bright points along the tangled line of DNA points at which human potential harmonize most clearly with love, wisdom, and beauty and service. As ancestors, these guys mirror back to us our own potential and responsibility to be exemplary human beings. So again, you're going to be working with these bright ancestors, and the more work that you do, the closer it brings you to them, and they can work better with you. That's what this work is doing. That's why we call on the most elevated ancestors. And they'll be guiding you. Excuse me, you might start seeing them in dreams, somebody you never seen before. They might start showing you stuff. There's no telling what's going to happen once you get real sincere about your ancestor veneration. I've been to see the ancestors. They took me out to a place, and I don't even know what was going on there, but they kept taking me to this place where it was a lot of like little huts, but the huts looked like stones, like they were molded, a molded type of hut looking things. And it was different people staying in these little huts, and they were all white. Uh, and these were older ancestors, and they were showing me things, how they was planting things and how they lived over there. And that was that's the dream I saw a long time ago. So you'll start um coming in contact with ancestors you never seen before. They'll start showing you things. And that's normal. And it's okay if you don't know their name. Sometimes they'll share their name with you. Sometimes they won't. Okay. Depending on how deep you're going with this, how consistent you're being with it. But the dreams and things, you might start dreaming of ancestors in different eras you never seen before. They might start telling you stuff. They might start showing you stuff. Okay. As ancestors, these guys mirror back to us our own potential and responsibility. I just said that. While, of course, our blood ancestry is a real thing and must be given its due, unless you descend from an immediate line of open hearted humans with intact forms of origination as a way of life, dependence on the ancestors for an identity will usually be the latter, the den of lot doctored, unmetabolized grief hidden behind nonsense, still more intentional habitual amnesia and mental lockdown. That's all you're gonna get with recent family members. People that come to me and they're working with their ancestors and they got family members on there, they don't understand the scope of ancestors, so they just thought that ancestors mean family members. Most of them are they're stagnated in their practice. They don't understand why things are not moving. They may feel a little foggy and confused, and I have to tell them, hey, you got to take that off there. Have you did any shadow work? And they're oblivious to that. What you mean shadow work? What do you mean? I said that's ancestors work. That's ancestral repair work. If you're not doing that, that's why you're blocked. And those family members up there, they never wanted to do that work, so they're going to keep you blind from that because they were sick. You have to take that off and start over. You can either start doing novenas or you can start doing bovitas, which that's why we go over what is it called, American Brujar magic or Mexican magic. But yeah, you can start doing things like that to attract more healing energy to the altar and to call up on elevated ancestors to help you start doing some healing work in yourself. But if you got family members up there on your altar and you feel like ain't nothing going anywhere, you're foggy, you just don't know where it's going, then you probably need to reset that altar, recalibrate it. I don't have any opinions about Erica Badu at all. Her practice is her own. Her practice is her own. I think she has her own practice. I think she's intact with her journey, as we all should be. That's my opinion on that. She's very sure about her journey. I like the way she's sure about her journey, and she's her own authentic self in her journey. I love that about her. Now, that's why I love to see people get like that in their practice. You get comfortable in your practice. uh it's just your own. You're just in your own skin doing your own thing. You and your ancestors doing your own thing. That's a beautiful experience, and that I like that about her. She's for sure. So when I see people like that in their practice, they're so for sure and they're free. They are who they are, and they're able to openly talk about their practice. I like that. And a lot of us, I think that what I see the most too, we worry about what family members going to think when we have this new thing, this new spiritual practice. You don't have to share that with them. You do not have to share this change with them. All you have to do is do the work. It's more important that you do the work. They don't have to know that. If you tell them that, you better be ready to go in spiritual warfare, and you're not going to be ready to go in spiritual warfare because you're gonna those spirits gonna be unsettled, and you think they crazy now, they really gonna get crazy with you. You're gonna be in full-fledged spiritual warfare if you get to trying to change them, try to get them to believe like you believe. You're gonna be in spiritual warfare. You need to mind your own business and focus on your own spiritual journey and work on you. If the ancestors do not cast your pearls to the swine, if the ancestors ain't gave you that to share with them, don't share that with them. It's none of their business. And the only reason why you want to share that is because you want to repeat some trauma and try to convert them over there to you. That don't work like that. They have to have that epiphany on their own. You don't have to let them know about what you believe in. They're not going to get it no way because they on a different frequency. Why you gonna explain something to somebody who's spiritually deficient and ignorant? Why would you do that? And then get mad because you're in spiritual warfare with them? Wait, you started it. Why did you tell them? Why do you want them to know? Why do you care? Because they don't make no family size caskets. It's only gonna be you when it's time for you to go. Only you going in that ground. It's about your life. Now, if they want to leave, live with all them wounds on them like that, let them do that. And got everybody get to get their own lesson. Let them get it. They have to want. They have to want to be willing and want a better life, just like you did. Okay, so don't go around trying to change nobody or tell them what's going on, and then come to me and upset because you don't understand why you in spiritual warfare. Because you want to tell them stuff and you want to try to prove something and all that kind of stuff. You ain't got to prove nothing to them, to nobody. We too busy trying to prove to ourselves that we can do this practice. That's enough right there. Stop trying to prove stuff to other people. We trying to prove to ourselves we can do this. That's all that matter. Okay. For in all probability, your ancestors for the last millennia or so were suffering just as much from a lack of origin as yourself. Okay, so you can't call on those recent family members. They was wounded. They was all messed up. Some of them literally worked themselves into a grave. Okay, and you. That's why I tell you, you can never be lazy. How can you be lazy? That's why you need to be resting, getting somewhere and sitting down. Our ancestors was up under anxiety to work themselves in survival mode into a grave. You can never be lazy to a part to a people that built the country that you live in. How the hell you gonna be lazy? There's no way. If you never work for another 5 years, you can never be lazy. Your ancestors built that country, so them people lying. Why you could be lazy and you built. If you was lazy, these people wouldn't have no country to live in. So get that out your mind. You need as much rest you can get. You getting all the rest that your ancestors didn't get. Hell, you come out the womb working in intergenerational trauma, and you don't think you need no rest. Yes, you do. You need to get somewhere and sit down. Every time you go somewhere, it's a high risk that you may not make it home, and you don't think nothing wrong with you. Yes, something is wrong with us. We're in a toxic environment where we fear for our life all the time. That's in our DNA. Every time we see somebody in a uniform or a pale face, we be trying to get the hell away from them. We really don't want to be having a whole bunch of conversations with them. Just tell the truth that we got a code switch and act like somebody else. Come on, you got all this going on with you. You don't think nothing wrong with you. We code switch and got to talk like them, act like them, get nerves when they come around because you don't know what they it's going to be a Karen, Ken. You don't know. You uncertain. And you don't think that has impacted you. Yes, it have. That is the trauma. Getting your nervous system and stuff together, slow down, getting you in contact with healthy ancestors. Because it's in there. You just don't know it. We have to ignore it. We have to push through and survive. So we never get an opportunity. A lot of us don't get an opportunity to really sit with ourselves and look at what's going on with us and around us. Okay, this is what's going on. Getting out of that denial because this is the fact. You ain't dealing with that stuff that with the Nolan Well boys. Them people did that. Let's stop talking about it. They keep talking about it over and over and over and over again. I'm like, you've got to be the dumbest people. Why is you talking to them people? I'm not finna keep talking to you. I already told you. So I'm not gonna keep talking to you. I'm finna either get away from you or do something with you. I'm not gonna keep talking about what you did to that boy was wrong because I know what you did to him. I'm ready to put my hands on you because I'm tired of talking to you. This is justice. So you think this is gonna be marching in the street and freedom? No, it's gonna take a revolution. It's gonna take you to put and y'all ain't ready to deal with that yet. You don't want to hear that. But there's something called a divine war, a holy war. It's gonna be waged. It's gonna have to happen. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's gonna have to happen. They had to do this. We just went over Underground Railroad, and them practitioners had to put in some work. They were putting people on their back with this hoodoo, baby. So don't you think it's gonna be no love and light? Cause it ain't gonna be. You still up under that stuff. And if you want to get up under here, you really want to get some power. This what is hoodoo supposed to be used for. I don't care about you too busy trying to hex each other and you ain't doing nothing with the people that's doing stuff to us. Shame on you, the ancestors rolling in their grave. Ancestors, please fix it with these regular practitioners that want to hex their own community and don't want to fix nothing because that's what it was made for, to get them people together. It should be so many people over there in New Orleans, Louisiana, on top of them people. Them people life should be raggedy right now that did that to that boy. You understand me? All them people should be they should be turning into frogs. That's what should be happening to them people that did that to that boy. Them people should be so scared to put their hands on us that they life gonna come raggedy. That's how many people need to perfect this hoodoo to where they don't even want to think about putting their hands on us. I know you don't like what I'm saying, and I'm saying it. I don't care. You need to get some understanding of it. They're just doing stupid stuff, doing frivolous stuff to each other, and then letting the oppressor, the adversary, do. You know, you ain't doing nothing to them, but you want to do something to each other. Something is the matter with us. I know you don't want to hear that. I don't care. You need to hear it because it's too much fluff, too much ignorance going on over here. Somebody got to say it. Now you're gonna be doing something. You better be learning how to turn these people into frogs and stuff when they doing raggedy stuff. You better be learning how to do that. That's what you need to learn. You want to be doing something to somebody. You want your life to be better. Think about why it's raggedy and who the cause of it. That's gonna let you know the work you need to be doing. I'm gonna say it like that. Everybody missing a bigger picture because they like fluff and bull crap. It's just so sick. Be so sick. Ancestors, please fix it. God, please fix it. Just so sick. Just a recurring karmic loop over and over again. Nobody ever works up. Just keep doing the same stupid stuff. And then you wonder why spiritual people like to be by ourselves because we don't like to be around crazy stuff. You gonna be over here by yourself when you get woke, cause you ain't gonna want to be around a lot of people, cause a lot of people is sick. So don't think that you're gonna be over here and you're gonna have a whole community of people. No, we are few and far in between. Some people are happily ignorant and sick, and they want you to leave them that way. And you will get attacked if you try to wake them up. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you the truth. You probably ain't gonna like it. I probably never looked at it that way. But my job here is to get your mind thinking. Cause it ain't been thinking. These people got our mind weak. We're ignorant. We don't like to ascend. We don't like to educate ourselves. My mind is to get your mind strong and to get it working, get you independently thinking. That's what needs to happen. Stop asking people something. Be determined to educate yourself. Be determined to learn. If you need clarity on something, then ask questions. But the information is there in our community. There's no way in the heck I'm gonna let you be doing something without giving you a solid foundation. I just can't, ancestors ain't gonna let me do it. Okay. As insiders to the ancestral and family system, they can understand and treat dysfunctional family patterns at the source. So no matter how far back in history the troubles is rooted. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. We're doing that work. We are clearing out that line and we're stopping, we're really arresting some of that. We can arrest it in us. And it's up to our family members. The best way to do this, when you start healing and you start setting boundaries with family members, we do not want to ridicule them about these behaviors. When we start to pull back our energy from them and we're in this toxic family dynamic, or we're dealing with setting boundaries with family, the best way to do this is to keep the focus on us. And I'm gonna give you a gem right here that will help you start dealing with some of these toxic family and some of these patterns when you start setting boundaries with family members. So when we start setting boundaries with family members, what we say, we don't tell them, um, uh, let's see, Aunt Tony, I don't want to talk on the phone with you because you gossip too much. I don't like when we talk on the phone because you always talking about people business. We ain't gonna tell Aunt Tony that. What we're gonna say is, look, Aunt Tony, I've been looking at myself and I don't like what I'm seeing. So I can't talk about that no more with you because I'm just trying to do better. I don't like the way I feel when I do that, you know. And that when we do talk, this is what I've been working on myself. I've been stop doing this and stop doing this and stop doing that. And I'm working on this and working like that. I wonder why I like to talk about other people's business and why I like to do it. That's what I'm looking at now. See, when you go to talking to them like that, you're not pointing no figures. You're talking about you. And it gives them the opportunity to look at themselves. And they're not going to be too comfortable with calling you to gossip no more because you told them that's what you was working on and that's what you're trying to heal. Does this make sense? You didn't tell them I don't like talking to you because you like gossiping and you just make me feel some type of way. You're telling them that I'm working on me. I noticed this about myself. This is what I want to fix in myself, and that's what I'm working on. We keep the focus on us. Okay? We're healing. We noticed that about ourselves. God is really working on me. Keep it simple with them because these are simple minded people. Remember, they're not ascending like you. So we have to keep it simple and kid like for them. Okay. So let them know God is working with me. I'm trying to heal this in myself. And it's not just me. I see our family needs that and I don't want to repeat that. I want to heal myself. It gives them the opportunity to reflect when you are again, you started sending in your emotional intelligence. You're opening up the conversation and discussion about healing, and if they truly love you, they want to support you in healing. You give them the opportunity to support you too. See how I just did that? That's simple. Okay. If they're not like that, they're not open to anything like that, then you probably need to talk to them less. Go low contact. Just text them. Send them greeting cards telling you, hey, I love you. I was just thinking about you. But we cannot be in that karmic loop like that. We got to get off that frequency with them. And sometimes I've known in myself, I just had to separate myself from family because some your family would just like raggedy stuff. That trauma would have a grip on your family. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you're gonna be able to do about it. Sometimes some of us are gonna have to grieve our family that we never had. We thought we had family, but we never had them. They were sick. And that is a tough path. You might have to do a lot of grief work around that. It's not gonna be pretty. And I'm not gonna tell you it's gonna be pretty. Okay? It's not your fault. That's what happened to us. Now these people knew that they were doing this to us and they knew that it was gonna impact us like that. It's the environment. I know you want to blame family members. We're definitely not going to look past the things, the damage they have done if they have been abused, but we definitely understand how it impacted our generations, how it impacted us. Does that make sense? You have to be very gentle and loving with yourself and open your mind to kind of understand what happened to our ancestors and why a lot of them raggedy. Because if you lived around a whole bunch of insane people trying to unalive you all the time, you think you're not going to be crazy? Think you ain't nothing gonna be wrong with you. Okay? You know something gonna be wrong with them, so give them a break. And we give ourselves a break too, because we get to understand how we inherited this and why we turned out the way we are. So you have to be very loving, very compassionate, giving yourself mercy and grace, understanding what happened to you and your ancestors. Okay? I hope this is helping you. Territorial ancestors is one of the ones that inhabit a particular geographical area. They can show up as spirits of the land or be guardian spirits of the territory that their people once inhabited. In some cultures, it is believed that the old ones, the most ancient ancestral spirits, expressed as material beings that lived on earth. This means an oak tree isn't just the oak tree; it's your ancestors. That's why I tell you, these are your ancestors. You think we have ancestors that are water spirits over here. We have ancestors that are roots. Look at how John the Conqueror. Okay. So when we talk about elevated ancestors, this encompasses all of that. Okay, that's why we're getting you in contact with nature. That's why we're spending time with nature. That's why you'll see a lot of hoodoo or indigenous elements are nature based because nature is ancestral to us. Have I lost anyone? We have some ancestors that are linked or linked with elements. Fire spirits, you got Shango, you got Oya, you got Oshun. These are ancestral spirits that are now linked to elemental energies. Have I lost anyone? Okay, so let me go on. This it is also ancestral spirit that is strongly connected uh to different parts of the land. Okay. So again, that's what we're looking at when we are looking at nature spirits, land spirits, and we covered this thoroughly in our community. I talked about land spirits, I talked about water spirits, I talked about air spirits. We cover it all in our community because I know these questions are going to come up when the ancestors start. It's just I know because I've been through the process. So especially dealing with ancestors and growing spiritually, I had all these questions. So I address them in our community astrology. We look at the farmer's almanac and how our ancestors use it as astrology. I cover all of that. I left no stone unturned. If there's something that I've missed there, please bring it to my attention because I would love to talk about it. Because I know what this all it encompasses. I've been on this path about over 20 years now. And I've read many different books and I've seen the ongoing thing. I have sat down and studied. I didn't wake up during COVID and put on the studies and say, I know this. No. This been going on since what, 1999. Yeah, yeah. It's been going on about since 1999. So I've been doing this a long time. Okay. An elevated ancestor is a spirit that has undergone healing, growth, and spiritual refinement after death. These are ancestors who have moved beyond the wounds, addiction, violence, jealousy, destructive behaviors that may have defined parts of their earthly lives. They are spiritually mature, closer to God, and capable of offering wisdom, protection, and correction and guidance that serves our highest good. Many of us come from a family that lines marked by trauma, generations survived slavery, racial terror, poverty, abuse, addiction, abandonment, and countless other hardships. Those experiences leave spiritual and emotional wounds that do not simply disappear because someone passes away. This is one reason why discernment is so important. Our goal is not to connect with every spirit in our bloodline. That is not our goal, but to build a relationship with those who have become healthy, wise, and elevated. That's who we're connecting with. I want to make this absolutely clear because I get this all the time. Well, my family, I'm not calling on them because my family was regular. They was hurt. Well, okay, I understand that. I don't want you to call on them. I don't want that for you either, honey. Let's sit down and understand what this is about. And that's a big indication that you need to do as much healing as possible because you went through that with your family. Your work is going to be really rewarding. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. We're only connecting with healthy ancestors, healthy, elevated ancestors. And you will also notice too, and I'm not trying to bash anyone's practice, but notice the hoodoo practitioners that work with family members. Look at their energy and character and what they do. That's gonna tell you a lot about their practice. Because if you working with raggedy family members, they're gonna have you doing raggedy, sneaky stuff. They're gonna have you doing that. It's not really gonna be no ascending going on. Most of those people gonna be doing a lot of spells, a lot of tricks. Okay, they're gonna be doing a lot of spells and a lot of tricks. Tori, let me know if you have any questions. If you're in our community right now and you're on this live streams, if you have any questions about ancestor veneration, ask them now. Okay. And really, a lot of your questions are going to be answered once you start educating yourself because they're in the books. I'm going over everything that I'm going over here now is in our resource. Everything I'm saying here now is in our resource. I'm not saying anything that you don't have access to. Everything I'm saying, you have access to. If you sit down, get somewhere and sit down, be quiet, and start reading. That's your self care time. Okay? It's time for self care. It's time for your ascending. We have to make time for that. And once you start making time for this, you take back your time and time start working for you. But as long as you keep giving time rule over you saying I ain't got time, I ain't got time, you instead of repeating this mantra to yourself. You instead of giving your time away. And until you say, "Hey, I got this time. I'm going to do this every day around this time and I don't care what happens." Anytime I got something to do, I'm going to schedule stuff around this time I have for myself. I would tell people, look, I got an appointment at this time. I can't come see you. I can come see you at this time. You're going to have to make it that way. That's how you take back your time and you watch time and start working for you. Things will start falling back into place. But if you keep saying I ain't got time, you keep saying this mantra over and over again, giving your time away. And time is your most precious asset. You can get a lot of money. You can get your money back, but once your time is gone, it's gone. You don't get the opportunity to go get it back. So if you don't make time to put this into action, it's never going to happen. The long as you keep saying I ain't got time, I ain't got time, you keep giving it away. You keep coming from this lack mindset. You're giving it more power, giving time the rulership over you. instead of you taking back your time. Yeah, the work starts with your work too, because you're gonna see how you be crossing yourself up with your raggedy mouth. My mouth was raggedy too, and I still have to do uncrossing work. I still have to do weekly spiritual baths. You're gonna have to do that weekly, because sometimes we say stuff that cross ourselves up. You're gonna be doing a lot of uncrossing baths. You're gonna probably be slowing down and really paying attention what come out your mouth too, because now when you become in alignment, your words have more power to it. Because you've been using your mouth to heal, you've been using your mouth to petition these spirits. You are really intact with your voice and energy. So now you have to be careful what you say, because of what you say, it will manifest. So you have to be careful once you start uh doing this kind of work, because you know the science of magic now. You know the power of your words in your mind. So you can't just be saying any kind of thing coming out your mouth either. Does this make sense? You say you want to do magic, you want to be responsible. So this is the responsibility with this. You can't be saying and doing, doing any kind of thing like that, because you are a magical person. So when you do and say stuff, magical stuff happen. That's why you see a lot of people that do this work. They don't stay around a lot of people. You're gonna start standing, you don't want to have a lot of come, you think that, oh, I'm gonna be like this, I'm gonna have a lot of friends, and I'm no, you ain't. Your ancestors gonna have you right over there by yourself. You gonna prefer not being around a lot of people. Because even being around the wrong people can mess with your frequency and vibration. You even got people out here that purposely try to suck energy off you. You got people like that. You got energy vampires that look out for people like that, and they do try to suck your energy. Just had a call like this the other day. I don't know who it was. I don't know. Was it? I don't know if it was you. But somebody said they was on the call, and they weren't even supposed to be on the call with this person. But these people wanted them in the meeting. Why? Because the reading ain't for me. The reading is for somebody else. So why am I here? You got people doing energy, real bad energy harvesting out here. And you may not even know. That's why I said when you first start this too, keep your head covered. Keep your head covered or keep your head anointed. Because you're going to be like a bright light to these spirits until you can get control of your psychic abilities, your energy. You're going to be a bright light to this. So be expecting spiritual warfare. You're going to go in it. If you ain't in spiritual warfare, then you ain't got nothing going on. You ain't no threat. You still standing. You still standing in the same place. You ain't got nothing going on. Okay. So I hope that made sense to you. Healthy, elevated ancestors encourage healing rather than dysfunction. They inspire courage rather than fear. They bring peace rather than confusion. They direct us towards God's integrity, discipline, wisdom, and service. When we are building our ancestor practice, these are the spirits we seek to know. In Hoodoo, elevated ancestors are not limited to our biological family. We are also honor what we call ancestral elders, those who came before us. See how we call each other auntie and uncle? Again, you would see those sort of ascended ancestors in our community. Thank you. I've started reading. I'm curious as to what kind of libations I can provide coffee tea. Coffee is always a staple. But I recommend that you do a divination and ask them. I've also covered libations in our community, so you can look that up in the search bar and you can see what every libation mean. What coffee means to cool. I mean, water means to cool and refresh. Coffee gets them going and moving. And vodka has its own meaning, and whiskey has its own meaning. So you probably want to look that up. I covered that as well. In Hoodoo, elevated ancestors are not limited to biological family. We have ancestral elders whose lives and sacrifices, teachings, and spiritual strength continue to bless us, bless the collective. They may not share our DNA, but they share our history, our struggles, our culture inheritance. Through their lives, they became examples of courage, resilience, justice, faith, and leadership. For many of these African American figures are such as Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Rosa Parks, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Maya Angelou, Fannie Lou Hamer, Sojourner Truth, and countless others represent elevated ancestral wisdom. These are the ancestors that we can work with in this day, within the recent collective ancestors. We have those to work with too. Okay. Now we just went over Underground Railroad. Oh gosh, I was so happy to do that presentation with you guys. I hope you've had an opportunity to listen to the lecture and to look over the book. Very good book. But what was so interesting about that to me, and this is why I tell you, your ancestors, you're not going to run into voodoo with the hoodoo, because they start to interchange. You see that in New Orleans. So in this book, you see where hoodoo and voodoo begin to interchange, because when Harriet Tubman was helping with the Underground Railroad and all these spirits, now they have been added to the voodoo pantheon. There is a whole spiritual system called the Underground Railroad spirits in voodoo. They got their own sigil and icon to work with them, and we break that down specifically in the book. I love that in the book because these are freedom spirits, and they talked about how they were using hoodoo uh, during the Underground Railroad, and it wasn't just them using it. Now, where it had conflict at with me with this book, because they named every person, every spirit that you can work with in the Underground Railroad, and how to erect the altar, how to communicate with them, what they like on their altar. So you really want to look at that book, you guys, because it's giving you information, and these are very easy spirits. If your ancestors want you to work with them, that's something you probably want to look at as well. But what got me in here is, I saw that with Mama Bridget, because Mama Bridget made it into voodoo, and she is a redhead paleface one. Okay, but she made it into voodoo. And she's usually paired with Baron Samedi. And she is connected with the graveyard, the Getty, the ancestors. So I looked at this again, and I started looking at it closer. Now, so not only is Mama Bridget in there, so now we got John Brown. He's the only pale faced man I know that was, dealing with these pale faced people, putting them on their back. He was putting them on their back, and he was the only pale face I know that was about their life, that was putting in their work. I think they have another one in there too. Okay, I think it's another in there, but John Brown, teaches you how to even work with the spirit of John Brown. And I think it's another woman in there. She could be uh, pale face. I think her name is Mary Peasant. But all of these entities fall under uh, the Underground Railroad spirits that we have the option to work with in our work, and they have been adopted into voodoo. But yet and still, they still fall up under hoodoo. You see what I'm saying? They still fall up under hoodoo, but now they have been adopted into voodoo as well. So yeah, you will see hoodoo and voodoo interchange. A lot of people will not tell you that. A lot of people hold on to these religion. When you start following the ancestors, then I don't know what to tell you, because the ancestors are not religious. They might have you, you might be, they might have you. I've seen people be initiated in voodoo, initiated in Ifa, because that's what their ancestors wanted. You'll see that too. Some ancestors say, I want you over here too, because I want you to learn that, because that's gonna grow you. You'll see that sometimes, but they still practice hoodoo. You will see people do that, or you have people, they practice voodoo perfectly fine under Catholicism. You'll see them do it that way too. But I can't tell you that your ancestors is not going to lead you, because this thing you're talking about, the African diaspora that happened to all indigenous people around the world. I mean, around us, around the world. So I cannot tell you that they're not going to introduce you to another spiritual system, or have you working with a different spirit, because there's no limits with the ancestors. They're not religious. Now you get these religious people say, no, we have to be initiated. Yeah, probably so. If I was an outsider, but I already have an ancestral veneration up and going. So if the ancestors teach me that, there's nothing you can do about it because I got that in my bloodline. So you sound really crazy. Now, if you want me to be in your religion and practice your protocols, yeah, I can be initiated into your religion. That's really what they're saying. But the ancestors, they get to showing you some, and they make a lot of mad. They'll show you some and have you doing it right. So I cannot tell you that the ancestors are not going to lead you to work with a different spiritual system or lead you to work with another spirit. I cannot tell you because you go look at the book Underground Railroad. I said, there it is right there. Now Harriet Tubman is now a spirit in voodoo. They even got their own sigil. And not only is she over in voodoo, she's also in hoodoo. So you see how those intersect. And you see a lot of that in New Orleans. You see a lot of that cross culture and stuff start to happen there. So I cannot tell you that you're not going to be led to work with a voodoo spirit, a Loa, or a Risha. I don't know where your ancestors will lead you. And some like now we're looking at Harriet Tubman for our hoodoo studies, and here she is. They got her in voodoo, and then they've given us a full disclosure on how to work with her and what's the best times to work with these spirits and who these spirits are. So that if you haven't read that resource, I invite you to go read it. A lot of great gems in the book. I didn't know what to sit. I didn't know how to sit with the fact that John Brown was in there. And when I was seeing that, I said, "Oh my gosh, he's in here." I don't know what to think about that because this is supposed to be closed. They say it is still closed. Doesn't mean that it's still closed. Okay, this is still closed because these people, some of these people don't got that in them. A lot of them are not a John Brown. And John Brown was adopted by our people. So now he's in our pantheon. The only pale face I know, him and another, I think another woman, I think her name is Mary Peasant or something like that. She's been again adopted under these railroad spirits as well. Very helpful spirits. Okay. Once I start working with the higher ancestors, if I have clear to work with other spirits, will they require separate altar? Yes. You will always do an altar to other spirit. We don't share. If you're working with another spirit, they need her own altar and own space. That's why you see some, and you go in some practitioner's house, and this is with the well season. You won't do this until all the way down the road. So don't rush to work with another spirit. Don't rush. Please don't. Let your ancestors lead you on there because that means you're gonna have to service all them altars, y'all. You're gonna be have no time to be doing them because you're gonna be servicing them altars. You're gonna every day of the week, you're gonna be doing some altar work, going there talking to them spirits. That's what's gonna happen. You cannot just erect the altar and leave it there. You're gonna have to be going there consistently, developing a relationship with that spirit, putting flowers on there, cooking, and all that stuff. That's devotion work. And after you've done that, then you can go to them and say, "Hey, I'm having a problem with this and this and that. Can you help me?" They'll probably say, "Yeah, but I need you to give this offering and burn these candles and put these herbs and stuff together." That's what you're seeing these spells from. But yeah, so when you get these out, you're gonna have to service them. Okay, and you're gonna have to serve. You can't just leave them there because if you start leaving them neglected, again, that's gonna mess up your relationship. And some of these spirits get pissed off; they'll mess up your life. So make sure that you're ready to be committed and you have the time to spend there at that altar. You can go there at uh, the right times that they want you there. That you can provide the offerings there, and you got the time to spend there. Because you're gonna go sit that up and neglect it, then a lot of people think that's cute getting all these altars. It ain't gonna. I don't care how many altars you got. You ain't doing nothing but tying up your time. That's all you doing. That's all you doing. So you think about that, because every altar that you erect, you're gonna have to be there tending and being devoted to that altar, doing some devotional work, saying prayers and petitioning that spirit. And this might go on for a while before your relationship gets, deepened. Because it takes time to develop a relationship with these spirits. So make sure that's what you want to do because that's gonna take some time and work. That's why you'll see a lot of priests, priestess, and all this stuff. They don't have time to be out here shucking and jiving with people because they got to do altar work. They got to tend to these altar, do devotional work, pray, do their rituals to these spirits, because some spirits require certain rituals. Keep this in mind. Nobody thinks about that. They just look at the pretty little altar. You don't know you're gonna be spending time at the altar. And some of them require you to spend, you think you're gonna be there 20 minutes, and that spirit had you there an hour. But the time fly by so fast, you didn't realize it's been an hour. They get you like that. Okay, it's gonna make your relationship stronger. But keep this in mind. Don't just be erect and out, because you're gonna have to be devotional. So just like you got to go to your ancestor altar and do the work there, you're gonna have to go to your altar and dedicate a time to spend with that spirit. So you gonna make sure you can sit down and be quiet. Don't be doing it because it's cute, because you're gonna have to work. This is work. I know what they're telling you, but this is work, developing a relationship. And don't have any expectation. Don't go there saying, I need you to do that for me. No. You telling them what you do and what you got going on. You don't go there demanding nothing from them. This is a relationship. Would you ask somebody off the street for $500 that don't know you? No. Well, you're not gonna do that with them. You're gonna sit there and you know ask them about themselves. Tell them how much you like them. Play music that they like. You're trying to woo them and win them over. You're gonna put out all the stops and all the stuff they like. You're gonna be dedicated. Let them see that you're sincere about trying to form a relationship with them. You're gonna be talking to them about what's going on. Yeah, it's gonna be there. You're gonna be going there right off. You have to develop a relationship. Okay. The only time I see that kind of happening, even with that, you're gonna have to develop a relationship with him. The Saint Expedite seem to be very good for things like that, but he'll ghost you too if you ain't got your stuff together. Saint Expedite will ghost you too if you ain't got your stuff together. But yeah, you have to develop a relationship with them, and they need their own altar. And don't forget, you're gonna be going there. Okay, depending on the spirit, you're gonna be going there for devotional work, going there saying prayer work, saying scriptures and things like that to build your ashe and your relationship up with them. Ain't nobody told y'all this part. This part y'all get. Nobody tell y'all about. But I don't want all them altars. That's why I said too. I didn't want to go into Ifa because I said I don't want to be doing that. I don't want. I'm sorry. I just don't want to be all the time. Every time I turn around. I don't want to be hurting an animal all the time. I know it has its place, but I don't want to be doing that. I don't like the stuff on me all the I know it's got its place. I will do it if it's necessary, but I don't want to be doing that all the time. Who want to do that? Some people got to go cut up chickens and do all this stuff, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. Okay, now let's say I ain't got no other choice, and that is to do it. I understand why they do it and whatever, but I didn't want that for myself. And you got some people over there that their ancestors and drugged them over there now then drug them up, and they don't want to be doing that, but that's what their ancestors require of them. Okay, and I knew that I don't like to do it because I'm kind of squeamish. I don't want to be doing it. Okay, not unless I have no other choice but to do it. That's what I feel like that's necessary when you had another choice, but I'm too squeamish. Okay, I don't want to be doing that. So you got some people over there. They have to, do this with this chicken or this rabbit or this goat. They have to do that. I just didn't want to do it. That I just ain't got that in me. Okay, not all of the A2Rs are like that. They don't all do animal sacrifice. However, I knew that is not what I wanted, and then I didn't want all that too to be a priest or a priestess, depending on what you got going on. That's a lot of devotional work. These people are working these altars and they have to buy different offerings and stuff for these different spirits. Keep that in mind. Even when I see you set up a angel altar, I'm gonna let you know everything they like. I have to give you're gonna get everything they like, and you need to set that altar up like that. When you set an altar up there, you're doing that to attract the spirits there. And sometimes that's gonna take a little money, a little effort on your part, depending on what that spirit wants. And you need to know their favorite color. I was talking to somebody the other day. Oh God, I just don't know. Stop listening to people online. And somebody told me they had an archangel, I think to Michael up. And I got the answering because when you start telling me what's going on, because I'm going to pry. If you're in our community or something like that, the first thing I'm gonna start doing is asking you about your practice because I need to see what needs to be fixed or are you on the right track. I just, I'm your mentor, so I want to make sure everything is together. So I might ask questions if you're in our community, how that's going. And so she got to telling me, she said, well, I got a Archangel Michael altar. And Esther said, Esther, what color, has that set up? So I got to Esther set up. She said, oh, it's all red. I said, that's not his color. That is not Archangel Michael color. I was like, who told you that? Well, I got it offline. Stop listening to these people online. That is not his color. Archangel Michael color is not red. That's why I tell you stop listening to people because at least she was honest about it. She was like, well, I got it off TikTok or some sort of video or whatever. I said, baby, that's wrong. Take that down. That's wrong. That's why you're not getting no headway with it. Take that down. Go over here, read these resources. This is his color. This is the way this needs to be on his altar. Not all that. I don't know. Read. Stop listening to people. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get that wrong. Okay? You're going to get that wrong. Red is not his color. Yeah, it's a full-time job with the altar work. I'm telling you. That's why you don't see any priest or priestess. A lot of them, they ain't got time to be fooling with you because they over there serving them spirits. This is service work. We do work over here. Even with Hoodoo, you doing work. And these people around here calling this magic. Well, it ain't gonna be magic because you've been over there crying. You've been taking spiritual baths 3, 7, 9 days in a row. You done had to get up early and call on this angel and say this scripture. Is it really magic though? Because you had to work. Oh, you gonna be working over here. I don't care what these people telling you about a spell. When these ancestors get through with you, you gonna be questioning what magic really is. I promise you that. You're gonna be too quick to use the word magic. That's why I'd never heard any of our ancestors call it magic before. I've heard them call it work or a trick. But we weren't calling no magic spells. There wasn't no net. You over here working. You over here saying scripture. You might have to fast. You might have to take a 3-day bath. You might have to get up early in the morning and pray. This is work over here. So is it really magic? They're calling it that because you don't understand the science and you're probably not doing the work. But you're gonna work over here, you're gonna develop relationships. I'm trying to help you fully understand. Now you can go if you like spells and you like fancy stuff, you go over there and do that and you tell me how it worked for you. I'll probably be seeing you again. You'll probably be coming back saying, Miss Penny, you sure was right. I did it that way and that way. Oh my gosh, that was not right. Well, okay. I tried to tell you the right thing, but you like fluff and you went over there and you got yourself all confused. That's all that's gonna happen. Every time you try to take a shortcut, the spirit's gonna sit you down. I'm gonna tell you, because I've been through it. I know it. I've been through it. I did all the shenanigans you think you gonna do with this. And them spirits set me down. And I got my butt spanked every time. So I just don't do it no more. I just do the right thing. And like my ancestors told me, it's hard as hell doing the right thing, ain't it? It's hard. I mean, they was laughing at me and everything. They said, but it's gonna get better. The more you do it, that's gonna be the only thing you know how to do is the right thing. We're gonna make sure of that. And they have made sure of that. Okay, or the right thing ain't gonna be easy to do. That's how you know it's the right thing. And the ancestors ain't gonna tell you everything you want to hear. That's how you know you talking to the ancestors because they're not telling you what they want you want to hear all the time. They telling you to sit down and be quiet, get over there, do this, go heal yourself, go love on yourself. Why you doing that? Why you acting like that? They questioning you. Yeah, that's how you know it's for real. What if I have no photos? Again, I'm gonna say this again. You're not going to have any photos of your elevated ancestors. You're not going to have that. Not unless you see some they inspire you or you see some artwork that reminds you of your ancestor veneration. But more than likely you're not going to have that. Why would you have ancestors, pictures of ancestors that's over 10,000 or 200,000 years old? I don't think you would have that. We're not calling on family members. We don't want to work with them. Do you understand that? Are you understanding that I am energy? Because why are we getting a photo? Why do we need photos? Did you hear what I just said? We're only calling on elevated ancestors. Only time you would need a photo if you're going to do some work with the recent collective ancestors like Marie Laveau, Black Herman, or something like that. Hi, Champagne. That's the only time you would have this. So why would you need a photo? We're not talking about family members. Most of them are sick. I just covered that. See how you're complicating it? I don't know why we complicate that. We just do. I don't understand it. Why are we complicating it? I just went over that thoroughly. If you're in our community, you get the resources so you'll see that for yourself. You'll stop asking these kind of questions. It doesn't make sense. We're not calling on family member. We're calling on elevated ancestors. The only time I can see you needing a photo, not unless you're working with a most recent collective culture ancestors like Elijah Muhammad or Malcolm X or something like that. But for the most part, I'm going to recommend that you work with the oldest elevated ancestors. Chances are you're not going to have any photo of them because their names have been lost in time. I just covered that. I hope that helped you. Okay? Don't complicate ancestor veneration. When I see you doing this, it's because you're holding on to old beliefs. You're listening to regurgitated misinformation. These people done told you to put photos up there, your family members. Do that if you want to and see how that work for you. Because most people that have done that, they have been confused and stunted in their work. And I've had to tell them to take that off and start back over. If you do it that way, I can't guarantee you're going to make progress. Put family members up there if you want to, but I can't guarantee you're going to make progress. I'm not going to tell you that because I don't know if you're going to make progress, and I don't know if some people was healed. So I can't guarantee that for you. So if you put family members up there, pictures of family members up there, and you find that your ancestor veneration ain't going nowhere, that's probably why. Most of them was sick and believed in all these lies. So you actually think they're gonna help you in your work and help you ascend if they believed all the lies and the fear mongering. You actually think they're gonna help you. This is why I got you working with older ancestors. If you complicate this, it's because you want to, because it's too easy. It's too easy. The only way this don't work is you don't be consistent with it and you're trying to find another way to do it, or you're not listening and you're trying to do something else. That's the only way you can get this twisted. If you're reading your resources and looking in your books, all the resources, you cannot get this wrong. There's no way. There's no way. If you get this wrong, it's because you want to. Because you choose not to read, you want to follow other people. You want to listen to what other people say. You're trying to find an easy way so you don't have to do the work. That's going to get you messed up. I'm going to tell you, go ahead and do it that way. I invite you to do it. Mess up. You got a right to mess up. Mess it up. Get it wrong. Do it backwards. Stay under fear. See how far they get you. I want you to see the results of it. So that way you get the lesson. You probably won't do it again. Okay? I already told you who the elevated ancestors is. I already told you what ancestors we're calling on. There's no way you can get, if you get this wrong in this whole live stream, that's because you want to. If you take away something else from this, that's because you're choosing to do that. Because I've been absolutely clear. And you guys that's been with me for a long time, You probably saying to yourself, dang, Miss Penny, we going over this again. Yes, baby, we going over this again. That's just how many times I have went over ancestral veneration. Because everybody get everything else, but they don't get this. You want hoodoo, but you don't want the ancestors. It make sense. God. You can't want their magic if you don't want them. The magic don't work without them. You're gonna get stuck every time. Okay? You can't have that and get this through your head. A lot of people don't know that. Because they got people out here showing you root work, showing you spells, and not talking about the ancestors. Ancestors, please fix it. That's a red flag. If they're showing you stuff and they're not talking about this, and this is the core of the work, that's a red flag, you guys. Yes, they make it look pretty. They make it look like you ain't got to follow no rules, no structure, and all that. That's a lie. You're going to get structure over here. You're going to be disciplined. That's called alignment. Even nature has structure, it has season. You're going to have to get in that type of uh, an alignment and have that same kind of balance. Yes. Okay. So I hope you understand that. So you ain't no misconception about this. I don't care what people telling you. I'm giving you full disclosure. They're not telling you full disclosure. They're not giving you that. They're not breaking this all down to you like this so you can understand what you are doing. So you don't be blind, you don't be confused, you have these misconceptions. You're learning the right way. And I know it don't feel good because a lot of us don't like structure. We don't like discipline. We don't like to read. We have poor self-control. And that's the work that you're going to have to do that comes with this. Okay? Rosa Parks, Frederick Douglass offers inspiration for those seeking knowledge, eloquence, education, and courage to speak against oppression. His life demonstrates the transformation of literacy, discipline, and intellectual freedom. We have Rosa Parks here. She reminds us of our convictions can change history. We have Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Maya Angelou. These ancestral elders can serve as a spiritual examples because their lives left enduring lessons that continue to guide people toward healing, wisdom, courage, and service. So if we're going to be doing any ancestral veneration with recent ancestors, I would recommend that you be selective in choosing the ones that you work with. Okay. You can work with the most recent ones, but you're going to have to be more specific and do a lot of research on what they like and what they didn't like. That's the thing about spirits too, is thoroughly researching them and knowing their likes and dislike, their colors and things like that. And when you're asking your ancestors, and I don't know why people do it, ask your ancestors what they like. Do a divination. Don't come ask me. Because that you building a relationship with them, not me. So if you got a divination in line, ask them what they like. Give a choice. Do you like the purple one or do you like the green one? Do a divination. Do you like the purple one? Well, if you turn over your cards and your divination say no, then ask them, well, do you like the blue one? And if you get a yes, then that's what they like. But you have to start that communication with them and not me. Stop asking people and ask your ancestors. You're developing a relationship with them. When you ask me, should I put vodka on my ancestor? I was like, I don't know. Did you ask them? Should I give my ancestors coffee? Well, that's a standard spiritual offering to all spirits. So I would say, yeah. But if you want a definite answer, go ask your ancestors. They know what they like. You got to start treating them just like they're real people. And then trusting your intuition and your divination that you're getting the right answers. You're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have, ain't nobody gonna have the answer. You're gonna have to get the answer. It's your relationship. You have to trust your own intuition. So stop thinking somebody outside of you have the answer when it's your own relationship with your ancestors. You have to ask. There needs to be a divination. You're gonna have to have a divination when you're communicating with your ancestors. and start really strengthening your meditation practice so you can open yourself up to listening. This has to happen. Ain't no way around it. And stop going to other people asking them something that you should be asking your ancestors. Ask your ancestors. Trust what comes up and do it. Do a divination for confirmation. Listen. That sounds like the answer. You want to get a confirmation for the answer that you feel that's right on the inside of you. Do a divination to confirm what you're picking up. This is a science, and you have to work it like that. And trust the work that you're doing. That's the part people don't like. You think other people got the answers, and that's what's going to cross you up. You have to develop a relationship with them and trust them. You're building trust. You're getting to know each other. And the clearer you can get all that damage, all that fear and stuff out of you, the clearer you can get, the clearer the communication you're going to have with your ancestors. I hope that makes sense. I can't get any more clear than this. I can't get any more clear. I've been very clear about how this works. If you don't get this, it's because you don't want to. You're still dealing with fear. You're still dealing with that kind of stuff. And I can't fix that for you. You're going to have to do your shadow work and fix that for yourself. And that is the hardest work you can ever do. I'm not going to say it ain't going to be easy. It's going to be easy. It's not. Because you got to take all that crap out your head and reprogram yourself and sit down and reprogram and restore your mind. And that's what a lot of people want to avoid. They would rather ask questions and start looking when really you need to get somewhere and sit down and start taking care of yourself and doing the work. I don't care what, you can watch as many videos you want to. If you don't sit down and start doing the work, you're not getting anywhere. And nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to do this work for you. You're going to have to do it yourself. So you can be paying somebody to do this and do this and do that. Pay them. That's how you're going to be out of a whole bunch of money and be walking in the same circle. Okay? Developing a relationship with your, make sure. In Hoodoo, they are respected as honored elders whose lives continue to teach us. Ultimately, all wisdom comes from God, and the elevated ancestors help us illuminate the path toward the divine wisdom. Developing a relationship with elevated ancestors requires consistency rather than urgency. Spend time in prayer, sit quietly at your ancestor altar, read the biographies, the speeches, and writings of the ancestors you admire. Learn their sacrifices, their struggles, and the principles they live by. The more you understand who they are, the more you appreciate the spiritual legacy they left behind. As your relationship grows, you may begin to notice subtle forms of guidance. A passage from a book may suddenly answer a question. That's what's gonna happen in a lot of these. A lot of your questions gonna be answered in these books once you open up. Because a lot of your ancestors speak through a lot of these books and stuff is where they'll lead you to certain books and things like that to answer a lot of your questions. And so when you fail to open up these books and educate yourself, uh, you're turning your back on the answers. Many of the questions I've had about ancestor veneration, they have answered for me have been through books. They'll tell me first and then lead me to a book and say, "Just get that book over there." And I open it up and it be exactly the question that I asked them. And the answer is in there. So you think the answer ain't gonna be in the book, you're sadly mistaken because spirit speaks to you through your environment. You see that 111, that 222, that 33. Y'all love that. 111, 1111, they talking to me. 222. Okay, same thing with the books. Same thing with the books, you guys. They're gonna see you messed it through 111, 222, these angel numbers. They're gonna see you messed through books and stuff too. I've had them literally put a book, knock a book off a shelf and put it right there in front of me so I can read it. I've had them to literally send books to me that I've asked about, and before you know it, this book is coming up. I'm asking questions. They have this certain information to run across where I can find out more about it. Yeah. So you limiting yourself If you think you can only find information in a certain kind of way when it comes to working with spirits, don't believe the hype. Don't go for the fluff. Don't go for the glitz and glamour. You're going to get your hands dirty over here. You're going to be shining your shoes up, getting better. You're going to be doing a lot of shining up your shoes, baby. It's work. It's work over here. Okay, what you seeing here? All these pretty aesthetics and all this kind of stuff. Okay, you do work over here, and I'm telling you the truth. Healthy, elevated ancestors also challenge us. Let me see. A passage in the book: a dream may offer encouragement. And an unexpected sense of peace may come during a prayer meditation. You'll have that too. You can tell when they're present. Pay attention to how you feel. These moments often arise through consistent spiritual practice rather than dramatic supernatural experiences. So the more you can get to your altar, the more consistent you can be. You can get your prayer life together because you need to you know, have a relationship with God, your higher power. More you can pray and be committed to your ancestor altar, the better things gonna be with you. We need to get you in alignment. So when you do start opening your mouth, things start moving. But if you ain't built up no ashe, you ain't got no relationship with your ancestors, you ain't got no daily prayer or any type of devotional work going on, then you're not building ashe. You haven't even invested in your own personal power. So how that's gonna come? Healthy, elevated ancestors also challenge us. They do not simply comfort us when we are struggling. They call us to become better people. They encourage us to heal our wounds, confront our fears, take responsibility for our actions, and live lives that honor those who came before us. They remind us that our greatest offering to our ancestors is not merely lighting a candle, leaving food, or an offering or on the altar, but becoming people of integrity, compassion, wisdom, and service ourselves. And Hoodoo ancestor veneration is ultimately about relationship. It is about remembering those whose lives continue to bear fruit, allowing their wisdom to strengthen our own walk. As we heal ourselves, we become worthy descendants of those who sacrificed before us. One day, we too may become the healthy, elevated ancestors that future generations will remember with gratitude and honor and love. Okay? The act of communicating with spirits falls under the domain of spiritualism. So you will see us do a lot of work on spiritualism. You're going to hear a lot about Alan Kardec that comes up when we are dealing with spirits and things like that. Okay. So rather than waiting for the ancestors to approach us, sometimes we seek contact with them in a variety of ways. And that's what we're doing here. Okay. We're setting up the altar, we're opening up contact with them, and we sit and wait. Now you're gonna see this be called spiritualism. Some people call it necromancy. It's just been going by so many names. But to keep it simple, we're gonna call it ancestral veneration. But we use the techniques of what they call spiritualism to call on spirit and talk to spirits. And of course, we cover that all of that in our community. Okay, I think I've kept you long enough. We've covered a lot of area in here today, especially in our community. If you're new to our community, you're going to find this video very helpful. Uh, you also have all the resources there in our community. If you are stuck and you don't know how ancestor veneration going, what it should look like, listen to this video. Go to the pin post. If you're confused, hey, I'm in here, I don't know where to start. Well, you need to go to the pin post. You need to go to the pin post, and all those books are in those hyperlinks. You need to get started there. Okay? There's no reason for you to be confused. I'm gonna make sure you're not confused over there. So if you're confused over there, it's because you want to be. It's because you crossed up. You need to do some some cleansing work and all that. And you probably need to start there before you start doing anything, because what I find a lot of of us are very confused. Everything is foggy. We've listened to so many different stuff. We probably need to cleanse that, do a cleansing while you start your work. That'll help move out a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, because a lot of confusion going on. And I recommend that, stick to your studies as much as you can, oppose and listen to people. That's what you need to do right now. And that's what I'm going to be encouraging you to do every time feel like you're veering off. I'm going to direct you to your resources. You're going to get mad at me because I'm going to be directing you back to yourself. We're not doing that. You're supposed to be over here doing that. Why are we doing this? Did your ancestors tell you to do that? You're going to be upset with me because I'm going to keep you right on the path. We're not doing any distractions. No, you're supposed to be right here, ma'am, sir. This is what you're supposed to be looking at. What are you talking about? Okay, this is what we're doing here. I don't know. No, 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 no. You're gonna probably get upset with me because I'm gonna direct you right back over to them ancestors. I'm gonna direct you right back to where you need to be. Have you did this yet? You're gonna hear me say that. Have you done this? And most of the time y'all gonna be like, this what happened. No, I ain't did that yet. Well, I recommend that you do that. Okay. You're gonna see how much you're gonna be getting in your own way. Some of us are our biggest ops and we don't even know it. Okay. Is anybody got any questions? I'm about to end this live stream. I've kept you long enough. I think I provided and covered everything here. If if you're in our community, we cover all this and then some. I leave no stone unturned there. No, and we have monthly meeting. We got a monthly meeting coming up this week. Yeah, this week we have a monthly meeting coming up this week. So you actually able to come in there and ask questions. I don't mind opening up books, materials, and we can go over some things in there and have an open discussion. So I try to make sure you get all the support that you need and that I cover all my bases. Okay. All right. I see no questions coming up in the chat. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope this video was helpful because I want it to be helpful. And then I want to dismantle some of the misconceptions as well. Okay. I see you guys